on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull and repel any hate, go create what you want, feel compelled, yeah. And once you finally get a taste of the race, you'll never look back once you felt that. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Think about others way before myself, yeah. I guess that's why I feel like I go through hell, damn. Wasting time on your dreams instead of mine, yeah. About to turn this franchise around on a dime, man. It's all about finding your right state of mind. It's all about turning the worst into fine. It's all about time and the work and the climb. From the thirst we will rise, I'm immersed in this life. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. Don't let somebody take your time and your worth, just focus on yourself first. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss. See, I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see matter of fact. Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind, you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to my Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick, and let's get this show started. Oh man, what a day! Busy day, nonstop. Um, just very busy Monday, and we got a lot to catch up, a lot of news to watch together. It's gonna be a busy Monday, and I do have a lot of videos for us to that's lined up for us to watch. I want to start off with a little Melody King because she did come out with a story today about the Washington, what's going on in Washington. I got a couple of stories on that, so we're gonna tap into that. We're also gonna tap into the weather. There is a tropical storm in the Atlantic called um, what is it called? Aaron. That's projected to be a major hurricane, so we'll follow that and we'll check out the maps in a bit. We're also going to check out some stories of what's going on in Texas with the Democrats. We're also going to check out on a shooting that happened at Target. If you were following my channel and my shows for the past week or so, I've been warning people about going to Target or Walmart and things happening and shootings or stabbings happening. And guess what? Today there was a shooting at a Target in Austin, Texas that killed pretty much three shoppers. So that's sad news, and there's just a lot of news. There's also that U.S. Steel that kind of exploded. So that's something to try to figure out. Also, we got Trump and Putin news, and Zelensky is not part of it. And we also got some news on Mexico response to Trump's approval for a military force on the cartels. And we also got a story with Tyson de la Cruz. And yeah, it's going to be a very busy Monday. So I hope you guys are good. I hope you had a good day. I hope you're ready for today's news, brought to you by me. And I do got my medicine here, all nice and ready for me to smoke. Smells good. And gonna light it up now because it's a lot of news and I'm pretty sure it's hectic. If I'm starting off with Melody King first, that's gonna be a busy Monday. So I'd rather get this nice and started. And let me just set it up for us. I gotta do the whole setup on it. I didn't even get to do the whole setup on it yet. Give me 1 sec so I could do that. I thought I was truly prepared, but you're never truly prepared. That's just how it is. Now I gotta find it. I also got I got a lot of news, a lot of craziness going on in the world. Where is this thing at? Okay, here it is. Let's go ahead and open it up. Let's go ahead and see it on StreamYard. Okay, it looks good there. Let's go ahead and make it big. And now let's listen to Melody King's report for today.
Crime in America's capital is out of control. And for once, somebody's actually going to do something about it. The media hates it.
She is so beautiful.
Class, well, they hate it too.
She is very beautiful.
Living there, they've been begging for this for years. I'm from there. I should know. So today we're going to break down a series of moments that show exactly why bold action was needed and why this is the wake-up call that every blue-run city in America should be paying attention to.
Yeah, they need to be paying attention because right now it's just very crazy.
Janine, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, and to all my partners here. We all want the same thing. We all want a safe city. We want a safe capital.
I love her attitude.
We want to be able to bring our families here. We want to be able to come and enjoy the history that makes this place great. And unfortunately, we are not in that position right now. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for taking the step that we need right now to make criminals understand that they are not going to get away with it anymore. And I'm not going to stand here and go over and over the cases. But what I can tell you is this. I see too much violent crime being committed by
But the
young
Democrat says there's no crime.
who think that they can get together
The Democrats are saying
in
there's no
gangs
crime.
and crews and beat the hell out of you or anyone else. They don't care where they are. They can be in DuPont Circle, but they know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old and you have a gun. I convict someone of shooting another person with an illegal gun on a public bus in the chest, intent to kill. I convict him. And you know what the judge gives him? Probation. Says you should go to college. We need to go after the DC Council and their absurd laws. We need to get rid of this concept of, no cash bail. We need to recognize that the people who matter are the law-abiding citizens, and it starts today. But it's not going to end today because the president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. And my final note is this. These kids understand that the jurisdiction is through the state attorney general, Brian Schwab. I did a poster of the young man from Doge who was beaten bloody with a severe concussion, a broken nose.
Wow.
And then I did a poster of what happens to those kids because I can't arrest them. I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts.
What?
Enough. It changes today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Finally,
Finally.
someone saying it plain. We all want safe streets, safe families, and a safe capital. But for far too long, the system has been protecting criminals instead of law-abiding citizens. The fact that a 14-year-old, a 15, 16-year-old can carry a gun, shoot someone, and then walk away with probation is insane.
Nah,
That's
they
not
need to
justice.
be in
That's
a
a green
special
light for more
jail.
violence. Ending no cash bail, going after weak laws, and putting victims first should be common sense. And I couldn't agree more with his point about juvenile loopholes. If you're old enough to commit a violent felony, well, then you're old enough to face real consequences.
Yep.
Enough with the yoga and arts and crafts treatment for people who beat others into the hospital. This is exactly the tough talk and the tough action you've been missing. And if you think that was strong, wait until you hear this one. Watch.
Do you think that is an appropriate use of those federal resources?
I do, actually. I think it's a disgrace that our nation's capital is crime-ridden. I think it's a disgrace that tourists and visitors come to Washington, D.C. and they don't feel safe. I think it's a disgrace that, roving bands of teenagers are riding, hundreds of dirt bikes around Washington, D.C., shooting guns, shooting off fireworks, and you have these roving bands of carjackers. It's a disgrace. This is our national capital. You shouldn't have to feel that way, whether you live there or whether you're visiting on the streets of Washington, D.C. It's a unique place because it's a federal district. It's not in a state. And I think the president, has rightly decided that something has to be done.
Guard it.
It has a very high homicide rate
federal
when you compare it to other world capitals. And so I'm anxious to see how far he wants to take this. But frankly, I think for the people who live there and the people who visit there, they're going to welcome extra police presence on the street. That carjacking that happened to the White House staffer the other night, there were a couple of cops sitting there. Had they not been sitting there and witnessed that, I don't know what would have happened to that poor kid. He got beat up by 10 people, a 10-person gang. And so I think the more patrols you have, whether it's park police or whoever, the safer people will feel going around our nation's capital.
Those robot
they exist in a
dogs
state
out
of
there.
lawlessness. I mean, we have blue cities all over this country and blue states that have sanctuary laws where they have encouraged illegal immigration. I mean, that's the problem in California, is that illegal immigration has been welcomed and coddled. And then when you go in and try to enforce federal law, there was, all sorts of unrest and violence and mayhem on the streets. And so that was a situation brought about by the local officials there trying to resist, I think, the enforcement of federal immigration law. In Washington, D.C., everybody who lives there and everybody who visits there on a regular basis knows it's not safe. it is not safe. And there's even discussion in the ranks of the police department there. I think one guy's
I
been
want to
put
go to
on,
Washington, D.C., but
suspension
it's not safe.
because they've been downplaying the crime statistics there to try to give people a false sense of security. So I don't think this is political. I think it's about safety. And in the case of California and other blue states, I think it's about the enforcement of federal immigration laws that are on the books. And you have Democrats in those places trying to resist that. I do not understand it.
He's dead on. The nation's capital should never be a place where tourists and residents are scared to walk the streets. Yet, here we are, with dirt bike gangs, roving carjackers, and random assaults in broad daylight.
I'm going to have to roll
And
two
here's the
joints
part
for
the
this
media
show.
won't tell you. This is exactly why federal resources should be used. DC is not just another city. It's our capital. It's a federal district. The federal government has both the authority and the responsibility to
agree.
step in when local leaders can't or won't do their jobs. And
I agree.
yes, this problem looks a lot like what we've seen in blue run states like California. Sanctuary laws, coddling illegal immigration, downplaying crime stats to give residents this false sense of safety.
Yeah.
That's not leadership, that's negligence. More patrols, tougher enforcement, and an end to the political games is the only way forward. And now, action, not just talk, and not just press conferences.
I
Action.
know the mayor
Watch
of
this clip.
Washington, D.C.
I'm
is
announcing
garbage.
a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back. Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District
Oh,
of
shit.
Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is?
He took over.
And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control. And you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that.
Oh, shit.
Very good people, but they're tough.
Federal City.
And they know what's happening. And they've done it before. In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
Wow.
And you people are victims of it, too. You know, you're reporters, and I understand a lot of you
All of them.
tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. And so you can be anything you want, but you want to have safety in the streets. You want to be able to leave your apartment or your house where you live and feel safe and go into a store to buy a newspaper or buy something.
Or go for a walk.
And you don't have that now. The murder rate in Washington today is higher than that of Bogota, Colombia, Mexico City, some of the places that you hear about as being the worst places on earth. It's much higher. This is much higher. The number of car thefts has doubled over the past 5 years, and the number of carjackings has more than tripled. Murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. They say 25 years, but they don't know what that means because it just goes back 25 years. Can't be worse. Our capital city has been overtaken by violent gangs and bloodthirsty criminals, roving mobs of wild youth, drugged out maniacs and homeless people. And we're not going to let it happen anymore. We're not going to take it. You know, when you say take a look at numbers, I just saw some charts. These are different cities throughout the world. Red is, okay, the red is a place called Washington, D.C. Look at these. Baghdad we doubled up on Baghdad. Panama City, Brasilia, San Jose, Costa Rica, Bogota, Colombia, heavy drugs. Mexico City, I mentioned, Lima, Peru, all double and triple what they are. So do you want to live in places like that? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think the people in this room,
They're taking over.
if you wrote correctly, you'd see, look at the kind of numbers we have. DC, 41 per 100,000, number one that we can find anywhere in the world. Other cities are pretty bad, but they're not as bad as that. Is that where you want to live? The reporters of the world? Juvenile offenders and crimes against persons, as they say. It's getting worse.
Wow.
Not getting better, it's getting worse.
This is what real leadership looks like. Invoking Section 7.40 of the DC Home Rule Act and putting the Metropolitan Police under direct federal control is bold, a historic move. Pair that with deploying the National Guard, and I think you've got a clear message to criminals.
Yep.
The party is over. And let's be real.
And they're going to do it
The
throughout
stats that
the
he
country.
laid out are absolutely jaw-dropping.
This is a
Higher
test run.
murder rates than Bogota, worse than Mexico City, even doubling Baghdad. That's the capital of the United States we're talking about. No wonder businesses are leaving. No wonder residents are fed up. For years, DC has been run like an experiment on soft on crime policies, and the results are now in. It's a failure. This is the course correction that we've all been waiting for. Safety first, politics second. And right on cue, the local political class has something to say about it.
Oh, Lord.
Watch.
Getting reaction from DC council members.
We are, Pamela Wolf. This coming into CNN from Council Member Charles Allen of the 6th Ward in DC. His post is, quote, "The president taking over local control of MPD and putting the U.S. military onto the streets of D.C. under the guise of public safety is wrong. It's an extreme, outrageous, and dangerous move for our city and the safety of all of our residents." He's the first city council member to react to this whole thing. None of them had reacted really last week to this in any real measure. This is the first time a city council member has reacted and come out strongly on this. We're also reaching out to Mayor Muriel Bowser's office and the office of the Metropolitan Washington Police Department for their response. We started to reach out to them while this news conference was going on. No word back from them yet. The mayor has been fairly muted in her comments on this. She did speak out yesterday in an interview, but did not openly criticize the president for this. It's an extraordinary move. We have to point out, never before in American history has the U.S. president taken over control of the Metropolitan Washington, D.C. Police Department. How is this going to work on the streets? How is it going to work from a command and control standpoint?
It's going to work perfectly.
That is a huge, huge question. And of course,
why are you so scared now?
We'll see how that plays out. I think you got to see how it really plays out here first.
Right, and we should also note that he talked
about
why
are they so scared now?
The homeless population in D.C. Thousands of people.
Yes.
Why is this issue? And again, you're going to get into the fact check of what is wrong about his figures or not. But why is this the top of the president of the United States agenda today? And I think that's an important question for us to think about as we think about everything that's on his plate. Why is taking over law enforcement in the District of Columbia? Now, he made the argument as to why, and that it's a capital city, and that the way he sees it is that it is crime-ridden and needs to be changed. But still, why is the president of the United States putting that front and center? So that's a question I sort of try to think about as we put this in charge of Washington. But then, as you're noting,
dummy.
Yes,
he's
this
the president.
Is a dramatic moment, but it also feels to me like dipping into a well that President Trump has gone to time and time again in the first term and this term. The tactics here may be more amped up and dramatic, but the going after this city or other cities is sort of crime-ridden.
This guy.
This was the heart of many of the campaigns and political agenda that Trump puts before voters. And so to me, I see him dipping back into a well of something he feels is a strong suit and where he thinks he has stronger footing, the way he does with immigration or border security, which to me also then begs the question, what is he a little nervous about?
Safety is the most important.
If he needs to dip into this well right now on this topic.
These people don't believe in justice.
Police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any such, so this, and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face, and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
Whatever the hell they want, as if police have been not doing anything before this, Eddie.
Well, they haven't. If the president's talking about it, dummy.
Chris, to be honest with you, I'm trying to hold my temper. I think there's an ongoing argument that he's having in his head with Black Lives Matter. There's an ongoing argument that he's having with the questions around criminal justice reform and police reform. It's interesting that he really doesn't really care about what's actually happening in DC.
And I respect
on a certain level, because he's not trying to get at the underlying root causes. He's not looking at examples of how to address rising crime rates that doesn't require a form of policing that leads to increased incarcerality and the like. Let's look at what's going on in Baltimore. Let's look at what's happening actually in places like Baltimore and Chicago, right? So part of what we have to do is to understand. And Oakland, we have to understand this, Chris, within the context of Donald Trump's racial politics and within the context of his effort to get Epstein off the front pages. I understand David's point, but when we try to treat this as a rational response, then we lose sight of the actual politics that's being played here. And he's actually trying to give his base
bring safety
to get
back to Washington, and yet they make it political.
On the backs
Listen
of
to this
citizens
shit.
in Washington, D.C. He's going to
This is how you make it political.
Process in the district. And so I understand what David is
They're
trying to say.
never
But we
happy.
need to be clear
Democrats
about
are
what
never
Donald Trump is
happy.
doing.
You do something right, they're never happy.
Well, exactly what I expected. Outrage from the DC Council, but not because the crime is unacceptable. No, they love the crime, but because the president dared to step in and expose their failure.
Yep.
They call it dangerous. Well, I call it overdue. The media tries to frame it as a political stunt or an attack on democracy. But here's the truth. If the mayor and the council and the local police leadership had kept the city safe, there wouldn't be a need for federal intervention. And then, of course, they drag in race and conspiracy theories about distractions from other stories. What? Because heaven forbid we focus on the actual victims of DC's crime wave. The most laughable line, though, guys, complaining that this will increase incarceration. Yes, that's the point. Violent criminals belong in jail, not back on the streets. This is an attack on democracy. It's the restoration of law and order in a city that's been held hostage by lawlessness for far too long.
Wow.
This is more than a
It's crazy.
DC story.
She's so right, man.
This is a warning shot to every city that's been hollowed out by weak leadership and criminal first policies. When you fail to protect your citizens, someone else is going to step in, and that's exactly what's happening here. If the DC Council wants to call that dangerous, well, fine. But to the residents, the ones who've been begging for change, this looks like the first real hope they've had in years. And to the criminals running wild in our nation's capital, you've been put on notice.
Yep, that's it. Those days are over. It's so sad, but this has to happen. It has to happen. They're too loose. And you know what? They should have schooling. This gives a good reason to have schooling year round. No summer holidays. No more summer holidays. You butts are stupid enough. You guys are doing horrible in school. The grades are horrible. Like, after the C word happened, it's like our American children became more stupider. And it's time for change. And I think year-round schooling, where every day, Monday through Friday, you go to school. And then if you have, let's say, a holiday, right? Let's say Christmas, right? Let's say Christmas lands in the middle of the week. So what they'll do is they could do like 3 days off. Let's say if Christmas is on Wednesday, right? They could give them Tuesday off school, Wednesday, Thursday, and then possibly give them that week, of Christmas, because who in the right mind is going to go and have I call it a stampede, but all these kids just running the streets, you think they're going to do it after Christmas? I mean, I think they're going to be more with their families. So I think, you could give them like a week in Christmas, like Christmas holiday. And, but for the rest of the year, you got to go to school, and we got to get these kids smart. We got to get into their heads, because that's what the last administration trying to do with that LGBTQ, LMLPQRXYZ to the 10,000 power now. I don't know where they're at with the letters, because now they're doing signals with their hands, and it's starting to look like a gang to me. I don't trust gangs. I don't trust that gang. Yeah, no. Um, but you could just see how where we're going as a society. And I think if we get these children properly educated and show them the ways, I think we could have a very successful future with them. Because remember, they're little jits. They're in elementary school. Those little jits are going to become adults one day. And they're going to control this country. Okay? So we got to keep an eye on these little ones, and we got to educate them and protect them at all costs. Like, for my niece, I am really like making sure that she's going to have what she needs to be successful for the future. Yes. She's just what, 4 years old now, and next year she'll be going to school. And I'm pretty excited about that for her. And I'm gonna be very supportive, and I'll back her up with all her needs. I'm sure I'm gonna do a very good job in getting her shoes and getting her clothes and sending nice, good supplies that I feel, because I'm very psychic, okay? And I don't even need to ask my sister anything. I just deliver, okay? And I like to help when needed. And I know my niece, I don't communicate with her like through the phone or through video, nothing like that yet. I haven't even met her yet. That's how wild. Because I can't just travel on a plane. I'm very sick. I have a lot of things going on behind the scenes. What you see is the show. You don't see. I don't put my personal shit out. I don't. Exploit unless it's very serious that I gotta explain and then because it's gonna affect the show. But I'm not gonna sit here and boo hoo and tell you my problems. Like, no, get the fuck out of here, Rick. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Nobody wants to hear the drama. You know what I mean? Drama is drama. Everyone has it. Every family, it's just it. But one thing is that I will make sure to take care of my niece until my dying days and send her what she needs as far as like shoes. I mean, I got her. I got her. And the fact that I could pick out the shoes and send it to her, man, I wish I had a uncle like me. You know what I mean? I wish I had an uncle like me, because I would have been so appreciative, like having someone that backs me up and is gonna be there for me and help supply what I need to be successful. Like when she gets old, and I'm talking about like when she's a young adult, she's gonna know this channel, and she's gonna probably be in the chat in this channel. Right now, the numbers are pretty low. We are creeping up. We're at I'm picking up subscribers. So right now I'm at 484. So I picked up like an extra like 6 more subscribers overnight. So I'm gonna keep working hard on my shorts, because my shorts is where it's happening, where I'm getting my subscribers. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I put a beautiful video out today of my cat Tasha, and I thought it was such a great video and nice pictures. I have so many pictures. I could do so many videos. But the next video I got to do is I need to bring up Nala's numbers, because Nala's not getting that much attention. I put a video out of her purring, because she was purring, but she's not getting the numbers. She's not, unless you put music, because I notice when you don't put music, the numbers are not, it's not generating as much, because the people have nothing to listen to or to be like, I don't know. It's very weird. And I've been noticing that on YouTube. It's like, it depends what type of music you put, and if it's a hot song, if it's something that has like a lot of people like reusing, that's where you're gonna get a lot of watchers, because the video that I just put out with Tasha, she has over 1,500 views, and I just put it out a few hours ago. 1,500. I wish I had 1,500 subscribers. I wish I had 1,500 subscribers. Let me see how much she's at right now. My little girl, she's something. And it's the mama. The little one, she's not getting that much attention. That's funny. But mama is Tasha. She's the mama, and she's doing good. I'm very happy for her. Like, she needs to give me some more subscribers. Just subscribe. Yeah, I'm at 484. That's nice. Thank you for the new subscribers. I appreciate you guys. If you guys listen to the live shows, I know they watch a lot of the shorts, so I'm getting a lot of like subscribers on the short side. Yeah, she got 1,500, 1,500 views. That is awesome. And then Nala only got 82 views. That's fucked up. Let me show you guys. Hold on. I can show you guys. Give me 1 second. I'm here looking at my phone, and I could be showing you guys live on My Mind Over Your Matter. So let me switch it over to the side, and then we're gonna get back to the news. But this is kind of like an intermission. You know, it was a long stretch listening to that, and it's like, okay, so let's get this up. All right, here we go. Let me make it big. There we go. And let me come back over here. I wish I could downsize, like, if this could have like closed, like how StreamYard has it. That'd be pretty cool. Let's see. All right, the shorts. My girl, my kitty, my Tasha got 1,500 views. 1,500 views. There you go, girl. You're the mama. Look at the baby. The baby's looking at the mama. She's saying, "You bitch, that's fucked up." And look how she's looking away, like, but I'm still celebrating. I got 1,500 motherfuckers. And Tasha's like, she's stuck on 78. The Night Bandit that I put from last night has more. 1,200 views. And she's just purring. She's just purring in this video, and she's not even picking up any views. That's so sad. Look at Tasha over here. She took a nap. Her video, she got 1,600 views. Tasha's on fire, and Nala's pissed. I have to do a video of Nala. I'm gonna do one, and I'm gonna put it up. Probably, let's see, maybe tonight. I'll do a video, like a collage of photos, and put a couple of videos of her to see how she do. You know, I try to make it to like to make it a 1 minute, and then I'll put in a song, and let's see how she'll do compared to Mama, because Mama got a head start. She got 1,500 views. That's crazy. You know, Mama, she's really good. I'm like texting real quick. I don't like texting the show too much, but this is an exception because it's Tyson De La Cruz. We just messaging real quick each other, so I was like responding back. But my little girl, she's pissed. Look at that face. She is not happy. This is a cat that's looking at this mama. Mama's looking away. She's like, fuck that shit. I got 1,500. Look at me over here. I got 1,600. Shit, I got 1,100 views just picking up water from Niagara Falls. It's a beautiful video, though. It's real nice. I like it. But but some of them I'm getting, good numbers. Some I'm not even hitting. Like this one right here, the close up of Niagara Falls, like I'm not even getting no, like, and it's natural sounds. I don't even think I have, it's a raw sounds. It's just nature. No attention. When you don't put no music, you get zero attention. They don't listen to nature. They're so into the music, and look at this. Like I got 1,000 on the windmill, just the windmill, and I only get 117 on the raw sounds of Niagara Falls. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? So it's like even the raw sounds of where I went in Watkins Glen. Look at this raw sounds, and I'm only 72, 79. What else? This one was so beautiful. Rainbow Falls raw sounds, only 196 views. Thank goodness I got the Niagara Falls Rapids over 1,000, and this one here, relaxing and listening on replay. To relax and listen on replay because the sound of the falls is very relaxing. It puts people to sleep. So only 300 have seen this one, and 400 for this one, which is good, but it could be so much better. Because this is nature, and nature is not even getting the respect. Look at this, 190 views. That's crazy. Over here, 178, 313. I've been monitoring this cardinal views. It's been stuck at 947 for the longest, at the same number. I wonder why it's not being pushed out. Because it is a cardinal, and it's like it's chirping, it's all natural, and yet can't even break 1,000 on that one. Niagara Falls can't even break. They break low numbers. They're very, very low numbers. But I got this one here, which is God Bless Trump and God Bless America. I got 1,700, so that's pretty cool. Thank you for that. But then you go check out other stuff that's like really cool, and it's like 19, 15. And then I got another one that's like 3,100. I got a couple of 3,100. I think this one over here, 3,400. But then you get the same type of video, only 414. So the numbers don't make sense. You know what I mean? The views don't make sense. I have a lot of beautiful falls videos, a lot of beautiful, like with nature. Nature gets very little views. Look at that shit. That's crazy. Like look at Patterson Great Falls in New Jersey, and I only get 28 views. Are you kidding me? Niagara Falls, I get 26 views. And this is natural sounds. There's no music behind it. So since there's no music behind it, they're not pushing it. They're not pushing it. Look at Kent Falls. Kent Falls is so beautiful, the waterfalls. Only 6 people seeing it. Only 16 people. 16 people. That's it. Like it's insane. The numbers just don't make any sense. This one should have been on fire. The orb coming at me. Like this should be like, it only has 638. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I don't know. And I noticed the raw sounds of nature never gets attention unless you put music in your videos. When you put music in your videos, it starts like generating more views and more people start watching. But like, it's ridiculous to have like certain, like with nature, and they're so low numbers. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. My cat got more views than nature. The nature videos, 72, 79. My cat has 78 views. Like, she's getting more views than nature. That's crazy. No wonder she's pissed. I know Tasha. Nala. Tasha's doing great. Nala's just... I got to do her video. Okay, let me get out of here. Enough about my rat. Like, I'm I'm wilding out here. I'm wilding out. But it's true. It's like the numbers should be generated equally, and if I have certain views that are going to 1,500, how come on some of my other videos I just have like 78, 72? Like no low numbers. Just doesn't make sense. So we're gonna continue on with the news. So if not, I'll be here all night. So we're gonna have to go through a little rapid, since like we have to go like rapid fire. So let me set it up real quick. Let me just set them all up real quick so that way I don't have to do it later. It's a lot of videos we got to catch up. We still got to do the weather. We got to do the weather because that storm out there is getting strong really fast. I think we should just go to the weather first. I think we should go to the weather first, so that way we get that out the way and it's documented. Because we do everything here. I even do the weather. Okay, I'm almost done with the setup. And here's Tyson. Tyson's always the last. I always put him last, either in the beginning or at the end. That's where I put Tyson because I like to finish the show with his show. Because he does that like, subscribe, and leave a comment stuff. I never do that on my show, so it makes it easier for him to say it. So I don't truly have to. It's like I always say thanks, Tyson. I don't have to say that, you know. He's always laughing. Yeah, let's get into the weather. It's very important right now. It's getting very, very active, and things are gonna get a lot crazier really fast. Let's go. Let's check it out. Going right into the tropics, and we're gonna get my opinion on what's going on. Let's make this big. Let me go ahead and jump over here. My cursor. All right, Aaron, it's right here. It's looking good. Aaron's looking great. To tell you the truth, at a higher latitude, with the dry air that's coming off of Africa, this storm is really protected. You can see it has this outlining here, and this is the system. This storm is protected. This storm is going to be a monster when it comes out this way. It keeps going west to northwest, west northwest. The one behind it, holy smokes! This one behind it is a bees. I hope Cape Verde is ready for the triple hit. We're gonna call this the triple hit. Here's 1, 2, and 3 behind it, back to back to back, hitting Cape Verde Islands. And this is going to stream off to the west, also following Aaron, and probably going a little bit further south than where Aaron is right now. And it's going to develop, and be careful. I mean, from Barbados all the way up to even to Puerto Rico. This one back here, all eyes. This is the beginning. Like I said earlier, I'm always on my show. Anytime there's storms in the Gulf, always you have to pay attention to it. This is a lot of rain. This is from a wave that came from Africa, and I've been following it. If you've been watching my show, I've been talking about it. It was here in the Bahamas. It crossed the Florida Straits. It dumped a lot of rain onto Florida, and now it's in the middle of the Gulf of America. And I don't know, it could, something could to flare up, something, a little storm could flare up and dump so much rain. And you got a lot of training here that's going on into South Carolina, North Carolina. This could cause flooding, a lot of flooding. So be careful, because all this is going to creep up into the States, and it's going to dump a lot of rain. And we got 3 possibly monsters back to back to back that is coming off the African coast. If this is how the beginning of August is looking, oh man, it's going to be a wild month of August and September. like they're just going to train off, and they're going to be training down. This is perfect time right now in the atmosphere for these storms to blossom into monsters, and they're going to be dominating the news as far as weather's concerned for the next 2 weeks. These storms right here. And let's see in Africa. Let's see what's going on in Africa. Okay, let's get in right into it. Let it upload. Okay, so here we go. So we got one here. You got one pretty close behind it. Maybe one will be absorbed by the other one, because this one here is it's excited. This right here is very excited system coming off the African coast, and it's getting that energy. You see all this moisture. These are like reserve moisture, and it's tapping into this reserve moisture. So this is like very healthy system coming right off of Africa into Cape Verde, and then the one behind it. It's so big, but it's so close. So who's going to win the battle of dominance? That we'll find out, they're too close together to really develop into something big. One will have to like, they will have to like, one have to go south and maybe one have to go north in order for it to have a chance. One can be absorbed by the other. So, but look at this back here. There's a lot going on back here, and I think we're just in it for a good while. This is going to be a break, this is like kind of like a 1 week break that we're seeing right here. Maybe I would say about 5 days break between systems. So it's going to be a very active year. That's wild. Let's go ahead and check out some news up on it.
Right now on Fox Weather, Tropical Storm Erin has formed in the eastern Atlantic, the 5th named storm of the season. This storm generated deadly flooding as it passed through the Cabo Verde Islands and is now forecast to become the Atlantic's first hurricane of the season. The National Hurricane Center forecast shows gradual strengthening this week, potentially reaching major hurricane status somewhere north of the Caribbean. We'll check in with Fox Weather hurricane specialist Brian Norcross for the latest. Just got the new update in from the NHC. We'll get you updated on the second advisory now for Tropical Storm Erin. And tropical downpours in Florida generated some problems over the weekend. Heavy rains swamped Pinellas County. Drivers in St. Pete Beach and Madeira Beach had to navigate flooded roads, as others had to abandon their cars entirely as floodwaters rose. The flood threat remains today across parts of Florida up through the Carolinas.
Not a rain.
Plus, as
The
August
sun,
rolls
the
on,
sun is playing a
summer
big role.
heat making a strong comeback to the East Coast. Boston will be baking as record high temperatures will be threatened across New England today and tomorrow. And the bad news is much of this heat will stick around through most of the month. August is August again until further notice. Prepare accordingly. I will show you that.
We got up to
steamy
like
forecast.
90 here today.
It's all right now on Fox Weather Now.
Tomorrow is supposed to be 90. And then Wednesday and Thursday in the 88.
Hey, good Monday afternoon, everybody. Thank you, as always, for being here with us on Fox Weather. Right now, it's 5 o'clock on the East Coast, 2 p.m. out west. I'm Ian Oliver, and this is Fox Weather Now. We've been telling you all about the Atlantic happenings over the past couple of weeks, an uptick in activity moving through this first third of August. We did just get that 5 p.m. advisory in on Tropical Storm Erin, so let's get right to that. Fox Weather is your Hurricane HQ. This is the second advisory now, number 2 with this one. It became a tropical storm at 11 a.m. That was earlier this morning. The 5 p.m. advisory, it appears as though it's mostly unchanged. This is just coming into us. No big changes overall to this forecast. Its intensity still at 45 miles per hour. I suppose it's actually accelerated to 1 mile per hour. It's moving west at 21 miles per hour. It's had a rough go of it over the last several hours, and that is to be expected. This was, if you were with us through latter part of last week, through the weekend, a giant pocket of moisture and a big circulation that came off the west coast of Africa. The low-level center of circulation tightened up and consolidated on the northern periphery of that spin, which we talked about with Brian Norcross. You're going to hear his thoughts on the long-term evolution of this, at least where we stand right now, in just a couple of minutes. That's fairly common. The issue with this is that forecast models had a fix on this, a future fix, somewhere down here through the latter portion of last week. So that was a considerable switch up. And this is going to be in a belt, at least in the short term, at least for the next 36 hours
the one
or so.
that's coming off of Africa
we're to struggle up against. You see where we have Atlantic
south.
Ocean labeled, that orange, even some red, indicating very dry air and some of that Saharan dust. Because it's much farther off to the north,
Especially
it's
like
right in close
this one right
proximity
here.
with all that dry air and dust.
Could
And
go more
appears
like
as though, at least
western,
this afternoon,
like
it's gotten
westerly.
bullied a little bit by that. Plus, you look at where this is, that's the area of spin. We'll show you the dust in the vicinity of the computer forecast analysis of that. At least there's some of that around. There's that big envelope of moisture, which it'll try to use to shield itself from some of that dry air. But small circulations, which this
That's
is.
why the one
I'll
behind
look
it
and
is going to
see
do so much better.
if they've changed, they haven't. It's still tropical storm force winds that extend out only 35 miles from the center of circulation. It's a small little system that's getting shoved off to the west. It's moving 21 miles per hour. So that's
This one's
fast
getting
for a
hot waters
tropical
right
system,
now.
and it means it's feeling some wind shear. So in the short term, that's two things
He's
working
gonna ride
against
this
it.
way.
And this. The difference between here, where the NHC has the fix, and where I was mentioning it being forecast.
Yeah, that's why I'm pointing.
Just a few days back, it's a whole lot warmer, about 7 degrees in latitude farther off to the south. In the short term, it's got very marginal sea surface temperatures, and it won't be until it reaches all this warm, deep water farther off to the west that we start seeing this intensifying in any considerable way. But man, is that the forecast from the NHC. Beyond that point, they do have this with their second forecast now explicitly reaching major hurricane intensity. That's a Cat 3 Saturday evening north of the Lesser Antilles. The evolution beyond that, still a bit
Imagine
of
it
a
goes
scratcher.
further
At
south
that
now.
time scale, it's unknowable
Because of the
but
high
there
pressure?
are trends. So we spoke with Fox Weather hurricane specialist Brian Norcross about its long-term track a little bit
I
earlier.
remember watching Brian during Hurricane Andrew.
The official forecast from the Hurricane Center calls for just steady development here, up to 60 miles an hour tomorrow, and then 70, and then skipping ahead to Thursday morning, you see 90, but just steady intensification. You know, like you
It'll
see,
be a hurricane by
we end
Wednesday.
up with a Category 3 hurricane here, the north of the northeastern Caribbean, or in the vicinity of the northeastern Caribbean. We don't know anybody there letting down
Puerto
their
Rico?
guard. Odds
Oh,
say
man.
it
Imagine
will
it goes
be
to Puerto Rico.
north of the islands, and the worst of the
That'd be-
wind
that'll
will
mess up
be
my trip.
north of the storm.
Yeah,
But
I wanna go
it's
there.
still too close to call, as I always say, with a developing or a disorganized system. The forecasts are subject to change, and they're forecast to large errors. So we just remember that until this thing gets much better organized and the computer forecasts can peg on something. But for now, the models all agree
And
with
the
the cone,
Canadian one.
right down the cone, and we look at the consensus of the models. That's what the National Hurricane Center normally relies on. And so at 5 days, that's where the consensus
Remember,
is
hurricanes
there. We have
don't-
this kind of large area there.
they don't go like
Now,
a straight
when we
line.
look at the modern models,
They move
the
around.
GFS, the European that we've looked at for years, but now we have the Google AI and the European AI called AIFS. And here we are on Saturday. And so this is kind of the end point of the cone. And you notice the clustering is a lot like the cone there. So all that makes sense. When we look at the various ones, we see the Google one concentrates farther south. The dark
And
red,
Google
that's
wants
the
to hurt
GFS,
Puerto Rico.
a little farther north. Anyway, that together, they end
don't
up
trust this
looking
AI
like the
shit.
end of the cone.
What's going on?
All right,
Why are
so
we putting
what's in
into
play here and what's
AI in
going on?
this?
Well, high pressure right now is driving this thing west, and that's why we expect it to continue continue more or less to the west, may actually dip a little bit south and then come back north. How much it does that, that's a little bit of an open question on where it ends up down here. Notice the bright reds in there. That's the strongest winds, kind of north on the north side of the system. With the system moving west, you would expect that. All right, what's going to happen Saturday here? Look at this. Cold front comes down, kind of pushes the high this way, opens a bit of a door in here. Okay, where does the door open? Is it there, or is the high a little farther over here?
Don't bring it to me.
Stays weaker longer. The flow is not quite like this. It goes over farther west before it turns, and therefore a lower system, a weaker system, would go farther west. So all those things in play.
Yeah, but if it's a category 3 with that,
and we look at the models way out. So there we are. We're going back to Saturday again. That's where the end of the cone is. Looks like that. Now let's go forward in time. That's Sunday, Monday, and you see things are starting to spread out some. The Google AI model is in here. You notice the dark reds are kind of spread all over.
That's how my street would look like. You see the bottom right?
The European.
That's how my street would look like.
Options because of exactly where the steering.
Because I live in a valley.
And then we go on all the way to next Wednesday. You know, we didn't
come down like
used to look at this far in advance, Ian, but here we have it. So here we'll look at it.
But
there's no action to be taken. The main point here is there still are some plausible scenarios where a system could somehow impact the U.S. some way. It would probably take something happening that's not forecast, like the system staying weak a long time or something like that. And obviously, it's not the consensus of what we're looking at now. And some subset of plausible scenarios still shows a threat to the U.S. East Coast. So obviously, we continue to watch. Ian?
I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch. Nobody has to be uncomfortable yet, but you do need to be aware of some of the trends with this. And you said it's on the opposite side of the Atlantic. It's not going to sneak up on us. But Brian, you had mentioned this tropical storm, the winds only extend out 35 miles from its center. There's a lot that's going to happen over the next 7 to 9, 10 days, sure. But over the next 18 hours, a forecast tomorrow morning, 60 miles per hour. We'll see based on these trends this afternoon. It could be a challenge, but long way to go, as you said. That's Fox Weather Hurricane Specialist Brian Norcross. Brian, we'll be checking back with you all week. Thank you.
Okay, well, while they do that, checking on each other, I'm checking out the storm right now, and I'm looking at the beast being developed. This storm looks very healthy. Holy smokes. This might be even a hurricane right now. This could possibly be a hurricane right now. Let me get closer to the storm. Give me a second. Let me get to the missile scale. Let me see this. There's purple. There's pink inside. That's very tall cloud top. This is a very healthy storm. Look how it's radiating out. This storm is gonna break down, but the only reason it breaks down is to get bigger. The storm is very well put together. This is a very strong signal. And so close to Africa. Wow. And the way that it hit Cape Verde, it went woo and hit all these islands. And now it's off to sea. And look how strong this thing is looking. Oh, wow. Okay. That's very impressive. Let me come over here. It's a little bit faster, this one. It's a lot more loading, too. You can tell, look how low it went, and then look how big it got. And the system looks like it's going west for sure. It's very steady, right? You can see the center. It's right here. This is the center of the system. And it looks so rapidly strong. This is going to be a strong. I won't be surprised if tomorrow morning this is a hurricane. Remember, these storms could blow up. At this time of the year, we're gonna put a lot of theories to the test, because they usually say stronger storms tend to move north, right? I believe stronger storms tend to develop their own like their own atmosphere, right? And by developing its own atmosphere, give me one sec. Let me come back over here. Let's check over here. It develops its own little atmosphere, its own little bubble. Because you can see this is like a little bubble right here, and you got the system just rapidly developing. Wow, so wild. I'm so scared about these two right here. For some reason, I'm still eyeing on them. I'm like, oh man, we get a double here and this one here, and then this one tends to get closer to Puerto Rico, and then this one could be the one for Puerto Rico and the Caribbean islands. Like the yeah, oh man, this is gonna be not good. Oh, I hope everyone is prepared. I'll be definitely covering it, and what develops and the strengths and which way we think it'll go. Man, it'll be a bad omen, but every time I say things, it tends to happen. So fuck. Imagine the storm comes north from Puerto Rico, starts drawing to the north, comes close to the Carolinas, and then darts straight for New York and Connecticut. The last time Connecticut got hit by a hurricane, it was back, I believe, in 1938, and it was a Cat 3 hurricane. Let me see. Uh, Hold on. What's going on here? It's not what I want. Here it is. uh, okay, the last time. Well, we got hit before by hurricanes here. Um, but the real big one the strongest hurricane that hit us, I believe, was let me see. I know it was in 1938. That was like one of the strongest hurricanes. It killed like 125 people here in Connecticut. But we've been hit here. The last time Connecticut was hit, significantly impacted by a strong hurricane, was 1985, and it was Hurricane Gloria. Hurricane Irene and Superstorm Sandy caused good amount of damage. But as far as like a big time hurricane, let me see. Let's see. Here it is. They called it the 1938 New England Hurricane, also known as Long Island Express, was powerful and destructive. Category 3 hurricane that struck southern New England on September 21st, 1938. It was the deadliest and most impactful hurricane to ever hit the region, causing widespread damage and significant loss of life. The storm surge was between 10 to 12 feet high. 10 to 12 feet high storm surge. between 564 to 700 people died from this hurricane in 1938. The last time we had a Category 3 hurricane, a strong, like, major hurricane landing in Connecticut. Oh man, am I attracting the hurricane here? Because that would be horrible. No. Oh, the Great New England Hurricane. Who's gonna take that this year? Would it be Aaron? Because Aaron, you could be the one. I would be so mad if Aaron did that because it will disrupt the show. The show will be off for a while because it's gonna do damage. The internet probably is not gonna be that great. I could probably do my show from my phone. That'll probably still work. But it'll be like a telethon to raise money. I'll do a telethon. Call and donate to my Mind Over Your Matter. Trying to survive a hurricane. But as you can see, these storms are coming off right now. And Aaron looks very healthy. Let me go back to that mesoscale. The radar doesn't really do it. Does it? Well, actually, before I do that, something just caught my eye. Mexico. You see what I mean? I was telling you guys about Mexico, and look at this. This is something. It's trying to do something. They never gave it attention. I have gave it attention because it has a lot of rain embedded in it, and this is training rain, meaning that it's a persistent, consistent rainfall that constantly rains in the same area over and over and over and over and over. So Mississippi, Alabama, Mobile, Alabama is here, and then Mississippi is right here, and then you have New Orleans is over here. This is Louisiana, and Texas is over here. So right now it's hitting Mobile, Alabama, and Mississippi with a lot of training rain. So, and Florida too. I mean, Pensacola's over here. So, and I've been to Pensacola. Very, very beautiful area. But let's see what happens with this. It may become maybe a depression or something, and then starts dumping rain. You know, that's a worst case scenario. But let's go back to Aaron again. I want to check out that mesoscale. I want to see if they have a visible high res. I don't think so. It's nighttime. I thought they would have had an old. Yeah, no, it's nighttime. I can see that in the daytime. Daytime, it looks. I want to look at it tomorrow. But this is the mesoscale. Wow, that looks amazing. It looks like a dragon's eye. Like, it looks like an eye. That looks so sharp. So healthy, too. Look at just how it's radiating. It's releasing its heat. That's like this storm is gonna be wicked. Wicked. Okay, let's go back to me and let's get back to the news because it is what it is. Let's see. Hey, Seven, how you doing, buddy? I'm celebrating. I just got paid, sponsored on TikTok. Nice, congratulations, Seven. That's awesome, man. You're doing it. You're doing good, man. I don't know about TikTok for me. Like, I'm so confused with, like, it's just because something tells me not to get on it for me. I probably could get on it with somebody else's account, but not mine. Like, for me, I don't know. And I've been putting my cat videos, and my cat videos has been exploding on YouTube. And I'm like, man, I should do just an account for my cats. and the money could go to taking care of their health bills and taking care of their needs, like litter and food and water. Because I only give my cats bottled water. I don't give them water from the faucet. I wouldn't want to drink it. I wouldn't want to drink it, but congratulations, Seven. That is so cool, man. I'm very proud of you. I'm always like, I'm always proud of you. You're a good person. You got a lot of good things your way. But we got to get to this news. So let's get back to, let's see, what we want to go with. Last Tyson will be for later. Now before the end of the show. We could possibly go to the Zelensky. Let's do. Okay, before we go back to the Washington stuff, let's do a couple of non-Washington. Yeah, why is it moving? I've never had that set up that way. Let me see something. What's going on here? Everything that I have here, everything's like, it's not even. I had it all set up, and now it's like doing whatever it wants to do now. What's going on here? I was like, what's going on here? I had it all set up. Why did it do that? Okay, let me set it up again. Weird. But it's pretty busy Monday for sure. Man, I had this all set up. That's crazy that it did that. Let me check them all just to make sure. Yeah, they all got, for some reason, it just restarted by itself. Because I had them all set already. Huh. You bastard. You bastard. Okay, I had you all set up, and now I have to do it all over again. This is a StreamYard issue. It's not it's not YouTube, it's StreamYard. Just make sure I'm not double watching the same go ahead and put this over here. Because I know some of them we're already seen, I think, but we'll see. What is this? No, we have not seen that one yet. What is this one? Yeah, we saw this one. This whole thing just restarted by itself. I don't understand this. Even the shows that we already watched, it's like it kind of like reset it by itself. So your technology, they find a way to piss you off. They will always find a way to piss you off. Now I gotta reset it again. Okay. No, I'm not gonna watch this one now because this one, that's a long one. Come on. Let's see. We saw this one, so I'm gonna eliminate that one out. Let's go with this one. And sorry about that. All right.
I was actually sitting at my register. We were just getting ready we were just opening, I should say. So we weren't busy yet.
And tonight, some people who live near the coke plant say they are unnerved. A lot of them tell Shelley Bortz they felt the rumbling and heard the boom.
The explosion rattled across the area like here in Glassport, but it also rattled nerves. sending shockwaves through the community with news of the injured.
My prayers are with all of, the family, the people that are impacted by it.
Deanna Forkey manages Hometown Burgers and Deli located steps away from the U.S. Clairton Coke Works plant. She was getting ready to open the restaurant for the day when she heard a loud explosion.
So I was actually sitting at the counter kind of looking out the window. And I heard a loud bang.
She tells us that's not uncommon to hear, being located right next door to the plant. But when the front door blew open, she knew this time was different.
That's all I could see out the window was black smoke. So it was very dark.
The explosion sent black smoke billowing into the air that could be seen for miles. Down the road in Glassport, people describe the terror of hearing and feeling the explosion.
I was sitting in my home office and I felt my house shake.
Sandy Lawson's thoughts quickly turned to the people who were injured. Concern then set in for her own safety.
I'm hoping that there's no chemicals coming our way. It's the air quality that I'm more concerned about.
Gary Pizzuto was working nearby when he heard a continuous stream of emergency sirens. When he stepped outside to take a look, he says his heart skipped a beat as he knew the enormity of what happened.
When I seen all the helicopters coming in, 3 or 4 of them coming in and landing down at the mill, and I also seen ambulances flying up Miller Avenue, taking people to the hospital, I kind of felt bad. It was crazy. A bad situation at that time.
In Glassport, Shelley Bortz, KDKA TV News.
Man, I hope those people. I hope they find them, and yeah, there's many of them dead there. So that's just an explosion. It happens. It's crazy. It's crazy times, That's what we're in right now. Okay, let's continue the news. Let me set this up.
Donald Trump has confirmed his upcoming meeting with Russia's President Vladimir Putin will not include Volodymyr Zelensky. The pair will meet in Alaska on Friday to discuss how to end the war with Ukraine. The US president confirmed he'll speak to Ukraine's president after the summit with other EU leaders. And Donald Trump also claims there will need to be land swaps as part of any ceasefire, something Ukraine has never accepted.
I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody to the good, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both.
Donald Trump has reiterated he won't be the one to make the peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, adding it's not up to him. David Blevins has more now from DC.
So I think the situation is now crystallizing in terms of the sequencing, while Donald Trump has made it clear that his ultimate goal is a meeting between Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky, possibly involving himself in due course. He has conceded that it is going to be a meeting just between himself and the Russian president in Alaska on Friday. He says he will update President Zelensky by phone soon afterwards and then also speak to European leaders. But it appears that he's fairly strongly wedded to this idea of swapping land as part of any deal. We know that Zelensky has already rejected that. We know that European leaders have rejected that. But the president says he thinks it's respectful that the Russian president has chosen to come to American soil for this meeting. On the other hand, he's bothered by the fact that Zelensky's talking about needing a constitutional approval for any land swapping. He says Zelensky didn't need that approval to go into war or to be engaged in what he described as killing people. So it does sound like there is a huge gulf still to be bridged between Russia and Ukraine if President Trump is to have any hope of bringing this to an end. But his expectation still seems reasonably high. He says he believes Vladimir Putin wants to see an end to the war, and he believes he'll be able to make an assessment very quickly because, in his words, that's what he does, make deals. That's why he says he believes he'll know within 2 minutes of coming face to face with the Russian president for the first time since 2019.
Wow. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Austin. Chief of Lisa Davis, Chief of Police for Austin. The police were initially called here at 2:15 p.m. for a hotshot call. Officers arrived within 4 minutes. When officers arrived, they were met with 3 people that were shot inside the parking lot of Target. The suspect fled the scene, stole a car from the scene, took that car, wrecked that car, then hijacked another car. He was then found by Austin PD in South Austin, where he was taken into custody after a tasing.
Wow. They got him.
We have 3 people that are deceased. This is a very sad day for Austin. It's a very sad day for us all. And my condolences go out to the families. At this point, looking at the suspect, we have a male white suspect who appears to be 32 years of age, does have a mental health history. But all of that is very new. This is a new, very, early in the investigation at this point, but he has been apprehended. I'd like to thank our public safety partners again. It is quite amazing to arrive on scene here and see fire and EMS, Austin AISD, all here helping and supporting. At this point, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Chief Lutgritz for some words.
Good afternoon. Robert Lutgritz, Chief of Austin Travis County EMS. Austin Travis County EMS received our initial calls at around 2:19 p.m. 4 minutes later, first units arrived on scene at 2:23 p.m. The initial responding units arrived and found 3 victims. Two of those were pronounced on scene by Austin Travis County EMS. 1 was transported to a local hospital where they were pronounced at the hospital. In addition, 1 additional individual was treated on scene for unrelated injuries. At that point, I'll turn it back over to Chief Davis.
All right, do you have anything? All right, we'll take a few questions. And again, understanding this is a very new investigation.
Do we know what led to this? Hijacked, and I want to know where that car was hijacked and if the person who was driving that car was injured.
At this point, we believe that was one of the people that was shot, but it was in the Target parking lot where the first car was taken. The first car crashed. The subject then ran into, I believe it was a Volkswagen dealership to take another car.
And if that car was hijacked from the Volkswagen dealership?
I believe so, yes.
What led to the shooting?
We don't know if there was an altercation or what. At this point, we're looking at video. People that are within Target are moving out of Target. We're moving some over here to the PetSmart and the Dollar General. If their car was involved or anywhere near the scene, they're going to have to stay here until the investigation's over and get another ride out of the area. But at this point, we're not sure what. Not that anything could, perpetrate this, but.
But no sense if it was random or if there was something that led up to it.
Exactly. Yes. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Do we know how many people were in the store when it happened?
How many people were in the store? No, I don't know.
It happened outside the store, not.
It happened outside the store. Yes.
Can you share anything about the victims?
We do not. I don't know anything about the victims at this point. No.
There was a child?
I don't know that yet.
Yeah, we see that you take a
3
lot of
people dead.
inside of that store. What is that?
That's right. So that's emptying Target. We want to empty the store.
I told you guys, be careful of going to these places because bad things are going to happen. I try to warn you guys. Here's another one.
I'm not sure. JD, do you have an address in South Austin?
It's still going to be happening. There's going to be a lot of
2400 block of La Costa.
Does he have any connection there, or that's just where he was found?
That's just where he was found.
Was there a chase that led you guys?
No, I believe it was a call for service. I believe the subject got out of the car. Another person called. I don't know what the behaviors were at that point. And again, we're talking, this is within the last 25, 30 minutes. So I want to get this information as quickly as possible to you. So what that call for service was, I'm not aware of. But officers responded quickly, and an apprehension was made.
And which dealership was it?
All I know is it was a Volkswagen that was taken. I don't know if it was a Volkswagen dealership, but it was a Volkswagen.
You said the suspect has mental health history. Any prior arrests?
He does have a rap sheet here with us, but there is some emergency holds, detention holds.
One more question.
Again, our thoughts are with the family. This is a tragic time. Our thoughts are with the officers and EMS and fire who have to come and do the work here at the scene, forensics, everyone that's doing the scene. Again, a special thanks to AISD for coming over and helping out. It's a big scene, a lot of cooperation, and truly impressive the amount of cooperation that the city alone does together. So thank you all for coming. Thanks.
Thanks.
Wow.
All right, that is the update
from police. So we learned that in total, 3 people have died. It was a wild scene that played out in Austin, where the suspect carjacked one car, and then that car crashed, and then that suspect got out and then carjacked another individual. And we are learning that again, 3 people have died, and this shooting happened outside of the target. And police did say that the suspect is known to the police department, and they believe
That's
that
why you
the
lock your
suspect
doors
has
and
some mental health
leave your
issues,
windows
and
like
now they are continuing to do
Clean
their
them up.
work as investigators and continuing to look at the surveillance videos inside and outside of the target. We'll take a 2-minute break. We'll be back with more on Live Now from Boxer.
All right, wow, that's wild. that must have been a wild scene for that amount of time. He killed 3 people at a Target parking lot, hijacked a couple of cars, like carjacked a couple of cars, not 1, 2, maybe 3 cars. Who knows? That he just carjacked people. I wonder how that went. I hope there's video of it somehow. You know, we always say, man, we need that cameraman there. So maybe there'll be some video footage somewhere. And then they got him. They got the guy. So they have him in custody. I'm surprised they didn't release the picture of what he looks like, but we'll get to see it later. I'm patient. But let's go to the next. Let's stay in Texas, right? Let's stay in Texas because we got some news coming out of Texas. So let's get it started.
I'm in Austin, Texas, and I guess those Democrats did not show up today.
Hi, guys. Yeah, breaking news to give you right off the top of the show here. We just found out that enough Democrats did not show up to meet that quorum, which is really no surprise because these Democrats haven't been shy about this. They've been on camera. We've heard press conference after press conference as they remain in these blue states, backed by their governors saying that they refuse to come here. They want to wait this out until the end of the 2-week special session. A few hours ago, they even held a press conference in Illinois instead of being here in Austin, Texas. Take a listen to what some of them had to say.
What Trump is doing right now in terms of federalizing local police force, what Governor Abbott is doing using the state guard, what Ken Paxton and John Cornyn are doing, calling in the FBI. This is all together one piece. This is about the rise of authoritarianism in our country.
So we've been tested this week. We've been threatened. But we stand more committed than ever in our goal. Because the truth is, Texans don't quit.
And, you know, Republicans have made many threats. We have arrest warrants that were issued. The Texas House Speaker and the Attorney General working to enforce those in California and Illinois. They've tried to take legal action to have them removed from office. We even have the FBI on. Threats are not working. You have them in front of cameras again, not shying away, saying they're not going to be here. And Representative Gene Wu there even called it a joke. He said these lawsuits, the arrest warrants are a joke, and Democrats refusing to come back here until the end of the 2-week special session. But something important to point out is Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he is just going to keep calling special session after special session, which he's allowed to do. So he says it doesn't matter because as soon as they come back, that's what he's going to do. And last point I want to make is during that press conference, we had one House member say that she has had Texas state troopers outside of her home here in Texas.
With the DC, I showed a little bit earlier.
I'm
with
the
the next story about
there,
DC.
Brooke, and I guess we're going to hear the Speaker,
next
Dustin
two
Burrows, in a
stories
second
you're
here. Sandra?
Yeah, let's take a listen here.
Emergency management to improve emergency response across the state.
They're going to arrest these
Create the
like,
Texas
people.
Interoperability Council, which would help local governments acquire key communication equipment to better coordinate response efforts, assist communities with purchasing and upgrading emergency communication systems, require outdoor campground facilities to have a flood disaster plan, and create public protections against fraudulent bad actors trying to solicit charitable donations after a disaster.
Wow.
Those bills are set to be on the floor tomorrow. And I know those of us present are eager to take action on them. The only thing standing between Texas and real disaster relief is whether our absent colleagues decide to show up tomorrow. Now, to update you on the process of locating our colleagues and compelling a quorum, the Department of Public Safety has special agents deployed in every region of Texas.
Ooh.
The House has deputized dozens of officers and dispatched them across the state.
Ooh.
They are set up outside members' homes, conducting surveillance, knocking on doors, calling their phones multiple times a day.
Wow.
So far, no one's home, but the search continues and it will not stop. We also want to thank the public.
You're going to get the
Many have
Rangers
submitted
involved.
tips about whereabouts of absent members.
California.
For example, over the weekend, we received word of a rally in Fort Worth where a couple of absent members were allegedly making appearance.
What?
We took this as actionable intelligence, and DPS was dispatched immediately. Although in this instance, members did not end up being physically present at the event, we will keep following every credible lead until these members
tracking
return.
them down. They're going to arrest them.
I have asked DPS to establish a tip line to receive information and leads regarding members' whereabouts if they happen to be in the state.
You know how much you give me
That
if I
phone
find
number
one.
is 866-786-5972. Let me repeat that for those who
much
want
is
to
the
get out a
reward?
pen and write it down. 866-786-5972. Understand that we are keeping receipts for every gallon of gas, every mile traveled, and every hour of overtime associated with the pursuit of these missing members.
Oh,
Under Rule 5, Section 3 of the House rules, those breaking quorum will be held financially responsible for the costs they've created, not the taxpayers. To those absent members,
It's going to come out of their
you
pocket.
can go to another city, another state, even another time zone, but you cannot escape your responsibility to the people of Texas. Eventually, you will be here. Tomorrow, when the gavel drops, the question is simple.
I like
will you
it.
be in that chair
I mean,
to vote for these critical disaster recovery bills?
every day
Or will you
like
be remembered
you know,
as one who did not show
time
up?
entertainment.
The choice is
lately,
yours.
Yeah. It's been good. I'm trying to do my best doing it here so people can watch what I line up.
Members, the call of the House remains in force. Under House rules, the House may adjourn from day to day. I will provide written permission to be entered in today's journal for each member registered as present during today's session to leave the chamber and return at 10 a.m. Tuesday. Mr. Guerin moves the House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Tuesday. Is there objection? I hear none. House stands adjourned.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Wow.
Hey, click here
It's
to
just-
subscribe to Fox News YouTube.
They're going to get arrested. They're going to drag their ass back and hold the votes. Because they're going to lose, and they're going to lose their seats and stuff. So that's why they're running away. So, but them running away is not really solving the issue. It's actually exposing them. It's exposing them. And what they truly are is cowards, you know? And the gig is up, you know? Like, Obama really sold you on that bullshit, huh? He got too much Obama, and he thought that those games were going to continue for infinity. What you thought? Biden was going to win? You thought Kamala was going to win? Imagine if she would have won. Imagine that a timeline where Kamala wins. We're very lucky. I'm just gonna say we survived 4 years. We survived a weird 4 years, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it because it was very fucking weird. Even doing shows here, I had to take a break, like the last, because I got really sick, and that's just like I had to take a break. It was just having da as a president. It just was not helping the energy at all. So that year was just, those years were just horrible. So many illegals coming in, and I feel the energy of them coming in and just, and then the giving them money, food stamps, like they give them housing, clothes, education. Like, here's a free car. Oh, here's gas for free for a year. Like, what the fuck? Like, I did. What timeline did I wake up at from my coma? Because I'm fucking confused. What the fuck is going on here? I feel like I'm in a fucking weird, like I don't know. I just feel like I'm in a weird episode, and just weird shit is going on all over the place. I'm like, am I still alive? Did I die? But then this is like a vision of what I would have been if I would have stayed. It's just I don't know. I'm just, everything that's happening and just happening so fast. And I mean, what's the rush? I don't get it. But I'm happy that Trump is deputizing and making Washington D.C. Federal, and they're fucking with me. The energy is too, it's high, and that's how they mess up the show. They do these interruptions and it freezes, and then I'm stuck in a freeze for a few, like it feels like a penalty, like I'm stuck on a penalty. And I'm like, motherfucker, these motherfuckers, you know. I see a lot of things. That's all I can tell you. I see things. I try to relay it. That's all I could do. But what I see a lot. See a lot of things. Let me take down some of these videos because we're already seen them. This one, these other two, we got to watch at the end. Those are okay. So we're gonna go with these two, and then we finish off with the 5. So let's go ahead and watch a little CNN because they're so biased. So you know how I feel about CNN. God help me. Why do I torture myself like this? Didn't I say I want pins and needles in my eye instead of watching CNN? Okay, we'll do it this time. I'm trying to be fair and balanced, It's good to watch the other side from time to time.
A public safety emergency, saying he's activated 800 National Guard members in the nation's capital and has now placed the D.C. Police Department under federal control, saying that Attorney General Pam Bondi will, quote, take command. This takeover is happening as the president says that crime in the city is out of control, despite officials saying that certain crimes in the city have hit a 30-year low. Watch this.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. If necessary, we're going to move service members directly to joining the guardsmen, and that'll take place very rapidly.
CNN's Brian Todd is closely following this story for us. So, Brian, take us through President Trump's order and what else he's threatening, because he says he might activate the military.
That's right, Boris. He says he's kind of reserving the option to activate additional military units in Washington, D.C. if need be. He then later said he didn't think he would need them, but he's going to keep that option open. He is also considering at least expanding the National Guard deployment to other cities. He named Chicago and New York City. But let's see how this plays out in Washington, D.C. first. We do have some source reporting from 3 sources familiar with the matter saying that both the D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and the D.C. Metropolitan Police Chief Pamela Smith did not know of President Trump's announcement prior to when he made the announcement. They were caught kind of unaware of this prior to when he made the announcement this morning. As you see the graphic there, the president plans to mobilize some 800 National Guard members on the city streets here in D.C. to put the D.C. police under federal control. That is unprecedented, by the way. A president of the United States has never taken control of the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department before. Also, FBI agents are going to be patrolling with the police department here. That is also a very rare occurrence, according to our sources. It's very rare for FBI agents to patrol with police in a local police in any given city. Already some pushback here in the district from this, but let's first hear from President Trump. I'll get to the pushback in a moment, but here's what President Trump had to say about what he hopes the police could do in the city.
See, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them because it's the only language they understand. You can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there and people are spitting in their face and they're not allowed to do anything.
Military school. I came up with a solution for that yesterday. For the kids.
So the president promising a very tough crackdown on crime.
14, 15-year-olds.
And again, we mentioned some pushback to this.
Put in military school.
The D.C. Attorney General, Brian Schwab, has issued this statement, quote, "The administration's actions are unprecedented, unnecessary, and unlawful. There is no crime emergency in the District of Columbia. Violent crime in D.C. reached historic 30-year lows last year and is down another 26% so far this year. We are considering all of our options and will do what's necessary
That sounds
to protect
stupid.
the rights and safety of
Down
residents." Attorney General Schwab
Okay.
is correct there when he
You
says
gonna
that
play
crime
those
is
stupid
down in
numbers?
DC. According to the DC Metropolitan Police, violent crime is down 26%, assaults with a dangerous weapon down 20%, robberies down 29%, and crime overall is at historic lows in the
Big
city.
balls got
We also got
attacked.
some pushback
This is
from
the rep.
council
This is
member,
this is
Charles
what happens
Allen
when
of
you
the
fuck
City
with big
Council,
balls.
saying this is doing this under the guise of public safety is, quote, wrong. It's an extreme, outrageous, and dangerous move for the city. That is the first member of the D.C. City Council to push back in earnest to this move. Boris?
Brian Todd, thank you so much for the reporting. Danny?
Boris, thank you. Former FBI Deputy Director and CNN Senior Law Enforcement Analyst Andrew McCabe joins us now. We also have former U.S. Attorney and former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Harry Litman. Thank you, gentlemen, for breaking down this very important story. Andrew, I want to start with you. From your perspective, is the purpose of this action purely to have just a massive show of force on the streets of D.C., or in practice, is there anything that will be done differently with the police department under federal control?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say exactly what the purpose is, right? So we know what the ostensible purpose is, the facts that, or the, I don't want to even call them facts, the information that the president cited during his press conference, which of course included comparing DC to places like Baghdad and Bogota, Colombia, where we have no accurate reporting about what their crime statistics are. The fact is that the crime situation in DC is at all-time lows. They were at a 30-year low last year, and it's down an additional 26% this year. So there is no crime emergency per se in the city. So when you understand that, to try to divine what the purpose is of this deployment of National Guard assets, what this reallocation of things like FBI agent resources to patrol the streets of DC, it raises some important questions. Like, what is it? Why this production? Why this kind of Potemkin village of criminal intervention in a city? What is this designed to distract us from? I don't know that I can answer that for you here, but in effect, taking a federal official and simply calling him the head of the Metropolitan Police Department changes nothing within the Metropolitan Police Department. Those sworn officers are the only people who are legally authorized to enforce the law outside of the federal properties in DC. Most of DC is not federal property. It is the property of the District of Columbia. And I should also say, to deprive the people, the citizens of the District of Columbia, of the representatives who they elected. They elect a mayor, they elect a city council. They are entitled to hold those folks responsible for the crime situation and every other situation in DC. To completely replace that sort of authority with some specious federal authority is really concerning, I think, as a democratic matter, a democracy issue writ large.
Harry, I want to bring you into the conversation. Aside from what this may look like on the ground today or tomorrow in DC, it seems like the thing that actually also caught a lot of people's attention, and Brian Todd just mentioned it, was this warning that President Trump basically said that this sort of action might come to other cities across the country. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's really an important point, because it's true that he has somewhat greater authority, a fair bit greater authority in DC itself, though everything I think that Andy says is accurate. That goes away when he's talking about Chicago, when he's talking about Los Angeles. And by the way, he mentioned only, of course, Democratic cities. The two highest cities in murder rates are both Republicans. They didn't come out. But there, a whole survey of different laws come into effect, including the really important law. It's a mouthful, Posse Comitatus Act, that says you can't do this on the streets. You can't bring in the military. So to the extent he's trying to align it with some grand showing of what he's going to do in Democratic cities, he's going to be up against much higher legal barriers.
You know, Andrew, we heard pushback, as Brian Todd reported, just after the announcement came, but there wasn't as much pushback from, say, the DC mayor leading up to this. I'm curious if there's anything in particular about this, again, going into practice that worries you, especially if we might potentially see American citizens in any sort of confrontation with, say, FBI agents or National Guard members.
Yeah, there's a lot that worries me about this. You know, first of all, it's hard to explain the lack of pushback by DC authorities right now. I suspect they're probably trying to get their heads around this entire thing. It's absolutely so bizarre. Apparently, they had no notice of it. There is also the matter of congressional funding, which basically took away $1 billion from DC this year. So the Senate is trying to restore that. The House is not willing. So there's a very kind of compelling financial / political issue that they're trying to navigate at the same time, which might be having an impact on how vocally they want to push back. Nevertheless, you are now looking at things like having hundreds of FBI troll the streets of DC. This is not something that FBI agents do. They're not trained for it. They don't plan on that. They don't have that sort of legal authority intrinsically. So to understand exactly how FBI agents are going to start making arrests around DC, again, on areas that are not federal property, that is not something that has been worked out in any way. And now let's think about the opportunity cost. All of those counterterrorism cases, counterintelligence cases, criminal cases, crimes against children, all the things that we rely on FBI agents to protect us from every day, that work is not getting done because you've taken that resource, some percentage of it, and shifted it to patrolling DC, which is something that the FBI does not do and really cannot do in its current state competently or
he wants
safely
to clean
for
up the city. You got to
themselves or
clean
for
it
the
up.
citizens of the district. So
You got to do
really
something.
questionable decisions
It's
here
like, why
that will
you
have
want to do
major
nothing?
impacts on the
No,
safety
get
and
it
security
done.
of this country.
Harry, just really quickly, I want to
Just
get your
get it
perspective
done.
on this, because President Trump also said that he will bring in the military if needed, essentially beyond the National Guard. Just a quick thought. How much authority does he have to use the military in this sort of way?
some authority to use it temporarily with congressional notification. So DC is a lot weaker here, but Congress comes to the fore. They're the ones that passed the DC Home Control Act. 48 hours, then has to notify, 30 days, then Congress has to pass. So basically, he's taking a very limited grant of authority and making a big political case with it, exactly as Andrew specifies.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting 30 days to come in the nation's capital. Andrew McCabe, Harry Littman, thank you both for breaking all of that down for us. Really do appreciate it.
They didn't bring back the safety. Talking about all that shit. Yeah, 30 days. This summer still, it's hot, and these kids they have nothing to do. They want to go out and cause havoc. So Trump said, "Fuck this shit. We're not doing this. You fucked with my big balls, and now here comes the hammer." And the military and deputizing all the police officers as now federal agents, like federal officers. So, the mayor, we're going to listen to the mayor, but the mayor is a Democrat. So she's going to be like, you already know. You just already know. But here's a little tease of what she's about. And Trump is just like bypassing her like she's toilet paper. That's for sure.
Speaking about President Trump's crackdown in the Capitol. Let's see what the mayor has to say.
Announcement from the White House. So I'll have a short statement and then we'll be able to take a few questions. So let me start by saying this. Washington, D.C. is a beautiful city, magnificent city. We're home to 700,000 Washingtonians. We welcome millions of visitors every year from around our nation and around the world.
Sounds very LA-ish.
We have the nation's premier park system,
Angelenos,
fantastic
and
public
now
schools, including
Washingtonians.
a
What else?
free and robust pre-K program starting at age 3. We have a tremendous public transportation system, and we have hardworking people here who are raising families, starting businesses, and hiring workers. So it's very important to me that for all who live here and visit here, just know how beautiful our city is and how proud we are of all
Wow,
that
she's
we've
painting it like it's
accomplished here.
beautiful.
We're unique in other ways as well. Though we pay taxes, in fact, we pay more than most states per capita. We're not a state. We don't control the DC National Guard. We don't have senators or full autonomy. Limited home rule gives the federal government the ability to intrude on our autonomy in many ways. I've said before, and I'll repeat, that I believe that the president's view of DC is shaped by his COVID era experience during his first term. And it is true that those were more challenging times related to some issues. It is also true that we experienced a crime spike post-COVID, but we worked quickly to put laws in place and tactics that got violent offenders off our streets and gave our police officers more tools, which is why we have seen a huge decrease in crime because of those efforts. We have been able to reverse that 2023 crime spike. This year, crime isn't just down from 2023, it's also down from 2019, before the pandemic, and we're at a 30-year violent crime low. We're not satisfied. We haven't taken our foot off the gas, and we continue to look for ways to make our city safer. We know, however, as most have heard from the president's press conference, that he has prerogatives in DC, unlike anywhere else in the country, including his authority given by our home rule charter to require the mayor, to require me to supply services of the Metropolitan Police Department. And he also has control and the ability to deploy the National Guard. But let me be clear, as our home rule charter is also clear, and the president's executive order restates. Chief Pamela Smith is the chief of the Metropolitan Police Department, and its 3,100 members work under her direction. The Home Rule Charter requires the mayor to provide the services of MPD during special conditions of an emergency, and we will follow the law. Though there's a question about the subjectivity of that declaration. In fact, the chief has already provided a high-level liaison and point of contact with the federal government and made those initial contacts. The executive order is also clear that the president has delegated his authority to make requests of us to Attorney General Pam Bondi. I have reached out to Attorney General Bondi and hope to schedule a meeting soon. My message to residents is this. We know that access to our democracy is tenuous. That is why you have heard me and many Washingtonians before me advocate for full statehood for the District of Columbia. We are American citizens. Our families go to war. We pay taxes and we uphold the responsibilities of citizenship. And while this action today is unsettling and unprecedented, I can't say that given some of the rhetoric of the past, that we're totally surprised. I can say to DC residents that we will continue to operate our government in a way that makes you proud. We will balance our budgets. We will deploy our services. Our kids are going to start school on August 25th. And we will work with the federal government to do the things that they should do for our city, including making sure that we have the judges that we need, including making sure that all federal parks are supported, not just with law enforcement, but with other clean and safe
Just get to the point.
And including making
like a
sure
whiner.
that our
doing is
economy
whining.
is supported by rational federal actions as it relates to
My
the federal
goodness.
workforce, federal workers,
Yo, he's
and
doing it for a
federal
reason.
property in
Shut
the
the fuck
District of
up and
Columbia.
get to work.
So with that, I want to ask Chief Smith to talk about her interactions with the federal forces, federal police and law enforcement that have been engaged in the district.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to
Thank God,
subscribe
Sean
to
Hannity,
Fox
for
News
you for
YouTube
coming out,
page
dude.
and catch our hottest
You drive me
interviews and
fucking
most
crazy.
compelling
Imagine
analysis.
listening to that bitch a whole fucking hour. I would throw myself from the bridge. My God. What a horrible mayor. All she did was protect herself, protect her job, and protect, and not get down to the nitty-gritty of what's going down in her city. She's a mess. Oh my God, she gave me a fucking headache. I wanted to punch the fucking screen. It was like that serious. I was like, man, shut the fuck up, bitch. That's what I wanted to tell her. I wanted to tell her, shut the fuck up. You're talking too much. You're driving me crazy. Let's go to the 5 next. My goodness, man. You really did want me. I really wanted to punch myself after listening to her. The one that Trump took over, having that mess in charge wasn't a good idea. And she's just a mayor.
Nobody drives the day quite like President Trump. He announced today a sweeping crime and homelessness crackdown in Washington, D.C., temporarily putting the feds in charge of the Metropolitan Police for 30 days. He is also deploying 800 National Guard troops to the streets. This is all part of his plan to liberate our nation's capital after a string of violent episodes that have left residents on edge. There was that brutal attack on a former DOJ staffer, and just this past weekend, shots rang out at a big gathering of teenagers in the Navy Yard neighborhood.
This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. You're reporters, and I understand a lot of you tend to be on the liberal side, but you don't want to get mugged and raped and shot and killed. And you all know people and friends of yours that happened. This dire public safety crisis stems directly from the abject failures of the city's local leadership. The radical left city council adopted no cash bail. We will bring in the military if needed. We're going to restore the city back to the gleaming capital that everybody wants it to be.
And here's a familiar face, U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, vowing to change the laws that protect violent young offenders.
We need to go after the D.C. Council and their absurd laws. The president is going to do everything we need to do to make sure that these emboldened criminals understand we see you, we're watching you, and we're going to change the law to catch you. These kids understand. I can't arrest them. I can't prosecute them. They go to family court and they get to do yoga and arts and crafts. Enough. It changes today.
And D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser responding to the president, making the case that crime is down from previous years. Meanwhile, some in the media are suggesting there's a racial element to Trump's crackdown.
They seem to hold their harshest criticism sometimes for cities that are majority Black and brown. Do you see that, and what do you think that means?
I think that I have been dealing kind of with this issue for a number of years. It's kind of easy fodder on the campaign trail.
All right, let me start with my former Washington, D.C. Capitol Hill neighbor, Charlie Hurt. It's one of these things that when you live in that city, you think, you wake up and you look at the Capitol, wow, it's so beautiful, it's so great. But you have that awareness around you, and it's gotten worse since I left.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that since if you look at the numbers and I'm always very skeptical about all the numbers, but just from 2012 to today, the murder rate itself has doubled. It's a serious problem. And it has been a serious problem for a long time. And I think that, and I love, and I agree, nobody can hold people's attention the way Donald Trump does. He used this press briefing to even pitch his new ballroom repeatedly. Yes. He never stopped selling. He keeps talking. He kept shouting out to the reporters in the room, I know you're all liberal, but you want to have a safe city. The place was absolutely jam-packed, I think in at least some small part, because everybody in there does know the safety risks. And they do know people who have been mugged or shot or worse in the city. And the idea that you're going to hide behind this notion that, oh, this is an impossible problem that can never be fixed. And politicians, that's kind of like the last place they go when they don't want to face accountability for something, and they don't have any solutions for anything. They just say it's a problem that cannot be fixed. And we've heard this for years, for decades, about the Middle East. We've heard this for decades from both parties about the border. And Donald Trump came along and said, well, I'm not going to look at it the way you look at it and say that this is a problem that cannot be fixed. I'm going to actually try to fix it. And so then what did we wind up with in the Middle East? We wind up with the Abraham Accords, which I think are the most important steps towards actual peace in the Middle East that we've ever seen. And if he is able to extend them, they could become even more powerful in that regard. And then, of course, the border, he manages to walk in and fix the border in one day. So I'm kind of open-minded to the idea that, yeah, DC is a kind of a cesspool in a lot of ways. It's a dangerous city in a lot of ways, but I don't know, maybe thinking about it from a totally different approach might fix it.
Emily, you didn't have any type of coverage of this in April when the governor of New Mexico, who's a Democrat, called in the National Guard to help with crime in that city. And good for them because they needed to do something about it. What do you think the legal issues that some of the Democrats are bringing up, saying that this isn't allowed, this is not constitutional? Is that going to hold up?
Right. No, it won't, because I think President Trump has been very clear that he's exercising the specific powers afforded to him there in Washington, D.C. And the mayor acknowledged in reaching out to the attorney general saying, I will be here to collaborate with you. Now, granted, she also pushed back on a lot of issues there, but I see him actually staying squarely within the lane that the Constitution afforded him and meant, by the way, Washington, D.C. to be, which was under federal rule. It was never supposed to be a state adjacent like it has become now, frankly. That's certainly not what the framers intended. So how did we get here? Let's talk about it. So the laws and policies in D.C., like the Youth Rehabilitation Act and the age of criminalization being 18 and family court diversion, they have been totally distorted. The aim was to protect children from themselves. But we need to be protected from these children.
Yeah.
The rate of recidivism
That's
for
true.
them alone, for these kids, is almost double that of adult recidivism rates. And they are disproportionately committing these violent crimes. So the mayor says crime is down in DC. But here are the facts. If DC was a state, it would be the highest homicide rate. It is 6 times higher than here in New York City. In 2025 alone, there have been 1,600 violent crimes and almost 100 homicides, and vehicle theft is up almost 600% in just 5 years alone. And a final note about the violence and the classification, because you hear a lot from the left when they argue or throw out criticism when they're not saying that things are racist or unable to be fixed. And it's always about, well, it's non-violent or it's a misdemeanor. And all of those classifications have been sort of summarily, magically introduced into the conversation, and it is not based in reality. Talk to any criminal law attorney or a victim or a family member and tell them carjacking's not violent, or these burglaries en masse are not violent, or stalking is not violent, or these burglaries are a misdemeanor.
Crazy.
And they will argue with you every step of the way. So DC is the first city, and plenty more will take, I think, this example, which will be whip everyone into shape, the prosecutors, the judges, the law enforcement, get the kids out of this family court. Bravo, President Trump.
There's a young Democrat named Yemisi Egbobole that I've been getting to know a little bit. And she
How's he doing?
She's great. And you're
Oh.
going to like her. She's probably going to be on your show sometime.
She's great.
She's great. And she wrote a piece for Fox Opinion today, basically, Harold, saying that Democrats should not downplay the crime issue, especially for minority neighborhoods, because it's on their minds and they would like it fixed too. And that maybe they're going to be okay with somebody trying to get a handle on it.
Right. So good to be back around the table. I try not to put race in everything. And in this instance here, Greg has said something many, many times before about crime. And we were talking about the border in the context about why does the issue have to be, but you're not at all, Dana, but why do we have to talk about race, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican doing it? No one wants their pocketbook stolen. No one wants their kids attacked. No one wants their sister or mom raped. And no one wants their grandfather shot while trying to go get on a train. I read a little while ago that Union Station in D.C. is a place where some of the National Guard will be deployed first, and some other neighborhoods. I've been in the train station early in the morning there in Union Station, and it's trying to navigate a crazy place as you're walking through there. I can imagine if I had my kids with me during that time. I think Democrats need to understand, and Republicans, but Democrats, just to put the politics on it. When President Trump talked about the border during the campaign, and Democrats, for whatever reason, some of the national Democrats and some big voices in the party, particularly the president and some around him, didn't seem to take that as seriously. That was an issue that hurt us, but more importantly, was an issue that hurt the country. The crime issue, I heard Kash Patel today say during the press conference, and he was right, that the murder rate has come down. The Mayor Bowser has said the murder rate has come down. But when you live in communities, or you live in neighborhoods where crime is taking place, those statistics mean things. But if you're worried about your kids, worried about yourself, worried about your families, you want someone, and you're expecting government to step up to the plate. I'd say one thing to everybody: New Yorkers, people live in Maryland, people live in Colorado, people live in Illinois, Florida, Georgia. We need to end cash bail. This no cash bail thing has not worked. Now, there were many who thought it might work because you're going to let people were going to jail to spending more time waiting for their trial than they were if they got convicted of something. But we're seeing now that the thing doesn't work. There ought to be a bipartisan effort to say, look, let's end it now. Whether you're a Democrat that supported it in the past, it just didn't work. And we ought to be willing to admit that. Any Republican or Democrat has an idea that doesn't work, just admit when it doesn't work. This one has not worked. We should get away from it. 2, our Fox reporter, I can't think of his name, young guy, I see him on Brett Baer's show a lot, and I've seen him on your show in the morning. He asked, I think, the first or second question of President Trump during the press conference. And I think it's a legitimate question. He said, Mr. President, will you be willing to take this to other cities? And the president said, yes. I hope that this template works, that we find a way to take it to Chicago and Baltimore and Memphis and Denver and Atlanta and other places that may need it, where you have communities that are wrecked by crime. And then two, he raised a question, which I'm totally opposed to, the legalization of any drugs. And apparently President Trump and his team are looking at reclassifying marijuana. And the reporter asked, how do you reconcile that?
You got my attention there.
That could be a gateway to some other things that these
Talking
kids
about
are doing.
marijuana.
And I thought my former seatmate here and my pal here, who
I'm
talked
smoking
about
it right
young people,
now.
I wouldn't be surprised if there were not drugs that are a part of that, as well as these young people are holding guns and handling guns and committing crimes with guns. It was interesting. I didn't realize you couldn't prosecute a kid unless they kill somebody with the gun or rape somebody with the gun. If they have a gun or they use it, that has to change. And I hope that the U.S. attorney there, my friend, is able to change that. And finally, again, I hope that the people who want to inject race in this stuff don't. Crime happens. I don't care whom it happens to. I'm not happy if it happens to a Democrat. I'm not happy if it happens to a Republican. I thought the president was cute with words about you liberals. Liberals don't like crime. Conservatives don't like crime. Blacks don't like crime. Whites don't like crime. Let's get rid of it. And that's why I was pleased and encouraged by what the president did today.
Greg, of course, you're going to comment on whatever you want, but let me set up one thing that occurred to me today.
Ooh, exciting.
Is that President Trump isn't doing this for himself, right? So he lives in the White House. He has car service through the Secret Service. He gets to go to Mar-a-Lago. He goes to his place, what's it called? The nice place, Bedminster. And so it's like he's wanting to make the city better for other people. And he's like, okay, well, I have the power to try to help. So he says, we might as well give this a shot.
Most of the big questions that he addresses are like that. Have you noticed that? Whether it is the border or the Middle East or this, it's like he'll look at war and you'll think, oh, he's so simplistic about saying, what a waste. When he looks at war, he says, what a waste. All these people dying. They could be working and making money. That's how he thinks. And he's like, all these people dying, carjacking, that's bad. And all the academics are like, oh, he's so simple. Sorry, dude. He's right. You know what? I used to look at life, Dana, as something that everything would go my way. And when things go wrong, that would be the exception. I realized that it's the opposite, that life is actually a series of inconveniences. And when something goes right, that you should be grateful. That's Trump. You know, if you look at Trump expecting a smooth ride, you're insane, right? But if you accept his brash, confrontational, unpredictable style as the system, when you get these big gifts, whether it is the closed border or the Abraham Accords, you go, wow, that's something else. And you're grateful for it. Trump is the human embodiment of life itself. In that, it's challenging, it's unpredictable, it's a bit wild, it could be scary. But when things go right, it's wonderful and it's huge. I wasn't planning on saying that, but you asked me that question. Can I talk about crime?
Do whatever you want.
All right. The homicide rate is 6 times higher in D.C. than in New York City. It's 18 times higher than Havana. Carjacking is up 547% from 2018 to 2023. The D.C. police commander was suspended for changing crime stats to make it look like they had dropped. They would report something that involved a gun or a knife as a felony assault because the FBI uniform crime system doesn't report felony assaults. This is the nation's capital. This is where a lot of people come because it's our capital. It's like going to Disneyland and their oldest, greatest ride is a bottomless pit with spikes in the bottom. It's like you get there and you go, this is what the country's about. Now, imagine if we didn't care at all. If the adults just went home and got cigarettes or just left home, got cigarettes, didn't come back. That would be racist. But if you decide to stay and save the cities from this progressive ideology that only makes it unlivable for everybody but politicians, then that's racist too. So if you stay and help, it's racist. If you choose to leave, white flight, that's racist too. But why can't you leave if you're not wanted? How was that racist? Turns out that's the Democrat Party. People are leaving that. They're leaving colleges that are anti-Semitic. They're leaving cities that are dangerous. Turns out the intolerant few causes the many to leave. You notice this. No cash bail. You bring that up. You brought this up a lot. Probably, a dozen times in the last 2 years?
At least.
Everybody agrees. Why doesn't it change? We need to ask, why is no cash bail still around? Who is it profiting? Who is it benefiting if everybody agrees? And why can't we just stop it? There's something going on there.
President should executive order that too.
Amen.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have a press conference on that tomorrow.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Wow.
Hey, click here to subscribe to
Yes.
Fox News YouTube page
That's
and
something.
catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Right.
You will not.
And then pause you there. Put on my glasses. My eyes are like straining because I'm already tired. So it's like I feel my eyes strain. I gotta get I'm gonna do my plans. I need to make my plans for Black Friday. I want to get a big television, like has to be like 75 and bigger. You know, if I could put a 80-90 on this wall, I'd be great. So I could see it nice and big, and then I could see when I do have my show where I bring people back onto the show and they could, share their stories with me. I could see them perfectly. That would be so nice. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be good times. Tell you that for sure. The weather is that system is really it's gonna become a hurricane. I know it is. I'm just concerned that if it comes this way, that's the only concern that I have. I don't want this coming this way because it's a monster, right? Let's take a look at it again. Let me show you guys. Here we go. This is a monster. Look at the cold cloud tops on this side. Look at it was like pink for a long time. That's like super cold top, like probably heavy rains in the side here. But you can see it's really getting like it's developing. And you can see the outer bands here. And the thing is that they're fighting the dry weather. They're fighting the dry weather, and it's fighting the dust. This storm is being protected. This storm it's gonna be a monster, man. You can even tell like when you start seeing like little, it looks like claws coming out of the storm like that. Man, this thing is gonna be a beast. A beast. I hope this beast don't come to me, but if it does, I'm ready for you, bitch. No, I'm not ready, but I'll be ready. I'll be ready. But it's gonna be man, that would be so wild if it does come. The last time we got hit by a hurricane category 3 in Connecticut was in 1938. So we already know this, okay? And this system, it's a possibility that could be the one that comes to the Northeast and not hit. Like Florida would be saved, the Carolinas, maybe North Carolina might not be saved, especially the outer edges. But I have a feeling it's going to take like a beeline, like come up the Jersey Shore and go right into New York City and come straight to Connecticut. That'd be a wild event, or it could come from underneath, because the way the 1938 storm that hit Connecticut, which was a category 3, it went up from the Long Island, from the Sound. So it went from up through Long Island, it hit the Sound, and then went in through Connecticut. And a total, of over like close to 700 people died in that storm. They're saying 125 people from Connecticut died here in Connecticut. So that was a really bad storm. Will that happen to us? I don't think, there's probably some people alive that probably remember that storm. I wasn't alive in 1938. You know what I mean? That's a little bit too far for me. But they're probably seniors right now. They're probably like in their 90s and shit. But maybe we get hit and it'll bring, some reality back that anyone could get hit by a strong storm anywhere where you're close to water. You can get hit by a storm. Let's see. Let's check out. I want to see the African one. So let's come back over here. Wow, look at this. Look at this beast. A little beast. This one back here is a gigantic system. It looks like an alien right here. Like if I was to pause it, let me see if I can pause it. Right here, it looks like an alien with a little mohawk. It looks like a baby. Is this the baby from hell? It has little horns right here. It looks like. It looks little. He looks like what was the little baby, the little things, the little evil things. I wouldn't bring one of those dolls in my home. Those little dolls are evil, but people are bringing them into their homes. So good luck to y'all. But this system's gonna be huge. That's gonna be a very huge system. And it's already looking good coming across. Cape Verde Islands better be ready for this because it's coming in strong. And it's following this system here. So these systems are going to go westward. One is going to break north. The other one is probably going to break a little bit to the west. So Florida might, maybe they'll stay south and they'll put in like the Verde Islands and put also Puerto Rico in the eye. Puerto Rico last time they got hit was Maria and fucked them up, man. Maria fucked them up. But the homes are built for hurricanes down there, so a lot of homes did survive it. A lot of them didn't, but the ones that did, they're built strong. Tough motherfucking homes for sure. But the problem is the power and stuff, and they still have problems with the power out there, and it's the power will go out. The hotels, you don't really have to worry about it so much because they do have generators, so and they do run, so there's always power in the building. But if you're visiting family and like I do, and then the power goes out, you're fucked. You're fucked. But let's take a look at the Atlantic in total here. We're focusing a lot on the weather tonight. So let's see what's happening. It's been man, that storms in the Gulf is just doesn't sit well with me. That's a lot of rain. And that's gonna cause a lot of flooding wherever it goes. And it looks beefy. Like a lot of beefy rain. This system looks like it's trying to form an eye because you see that little white dot, but that white dot is just like really cold cloud tops. So that little it's where the heaviest of rain is, and that sucker looks so wild. It looks so little, right? Because it is a little thing, but it is getting moisture from like the conversion area here. So it is feeding it down below here. So it is feeding it moisture. So the storm has moisture. The one behind it is also gonna feed off of this one too. So this is gonna be man, double, maybe triple trouble, but mostly probably double trouble. It's not looking good. Okay, so let me get off the weather and let's try to finish up this show. because I don't want to be here all night either. But I do got the last two. The last two. We're at the last two. Yay. Okay. Let me set it up. And let's watch Fox News first. And then we'll finish off with Tyson de la Cruz. So... all right, we're going to see the difference of reporting. This is Fox News reporting, and then we're going to listen to Tyson de la Cruz.
Now to this, President Trump has made no secret about his intentions to root out the Mexican drug cartels, which have smuggled huge amounts of deadly fentanyl across our southern border for more than 10 years now. The president has already classified several cartels as terrorist organizations, and now he's reportedly giving our military the green light to engage those cartels at the border. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responded to these reports, stressing that no U.S. military presence will be tolerated in her country. Quote, "We cooperate, we collaborate, but there is not going to be an invasion. The United States is not going to come to Mexico with the military." Now, looking back at the previous administration, under Biden, over 260,000 Americans died of fentanyl poisoning. That comes out to 1,300 per week. And the cartels only profited from it. In 2022 alone, they made a staggering $13 billion from smuggling both drugs and humans into the United States. Professor, talk to us about the legality and what you see here unfolding.
Well, I welcome this move. I think that the power of these drug cartels is sometimes, as in Mexico and in Venezuela, may be greater than the government itself. And so when these kinds of threats arise to our security, I think the military can be triggered. Look, I was in Washington in the Justice Department at 9/11, handling something that everyone used to think was crime, which was terrorism. And we had to figure out, how do we convert that to a war footing? So what we want to do is be careful that we don't have the military, for example, chasing drug dealers on street corners in the United States and our inner cities. What we need to do is make sure the military is targeting our foreign enemies. And that might be drug cartels that are synergistic with the government of Venezuela. That might be drug cartels in Mexico that government officials there are letting operate freely. Have the military focus on what they can do best, and then have our police here at home focus on what they can do best. But I think as long as they respect that line, as we did after 9/11, I think it's perfectly legal and well within the president's constitutional authority to protect the nation's security from foreign threats.
And Lisa, broadening out for a moment now, we know the cartels have pivoted under this current administration because of the enforcement of law and order and the respect for our sovereign borders. So there's a lot of play now in Canada, who don't have the same cartel identification structures that we do here in the United States. And certainly now fentanyl is pouring throughout Canada. Mexico and the cartels are now seeking to sort of eke out China and create their own fentanyl products. So this is only a latent, my argument is, depression in terms of the statistics, because they are not going anywhere. You take $1 from those cartels and they will claw to get it back. So do you see this as that logical step, and will this be effective?
Yes, I do. You know, and the objective is protecting the homeland, as we discussed. I mean, President Trump's got a big job to do. I mean, we had 4 years of completely open borders under Biden. He allowed terrorists, gang members, these cartels into America. And now President Trump is tasked with preventing more of that, and then also expelling and deporting all of these terrible people that Biden just, let waltz into the country. Also say President Trump is so smart because he's a problem solver. Even looking at the unprecedented use of designating these terrorists or these cartels as terrorist organizations, we previously looked at them as organized crime syndicates. So even that is just an interesting and, a thoughtful approach from the president of problem solving. It also expands government power to freezing assets, prosecuting perceived associates, being able to employ military and intelligence tools. So I think this is very smart from the president, and just another example of sort of this outsider approach, the CEO approach of problem solving.
Harley, this is sending such a strong message, too, again, of this reinforcement of our sovereignty and our our unwillingness to let any American die of poisoning. Talk to us about the synergy that the professor mentioned, though, because without the Mexican president buy-in, that was supposed to be a collaboration that could sort of help effectively break apart the cartels. Do we need her on board?
Okay, well, first of all, the president obviously does nothing by half, and it's clear that if he cares about an issue, he's going to hit it 17 different ways in an additional way just for safety. So I think that what the president is doing here is that making sure that at the very least, this is an option. So he's saying it can happen. The Mexican president is saying, no, it can't. At least that's what she's saying publicly. But if something needs to happen behind the scenes, at least the president has already started the process of allowing it to. When it comes to fentanyl, another thing that President Trump just did is sign the Halt the Fentanyl Act, which at a minimum gives 10-year prison sentences for fentanyl traffickers and also makes it easier to prosecute these people, because a lot of families who have had children who've died of fentanyl poisonings, they say that they never get justice because it's very difficult to prosecute them. So the president is tackling the distributors and also the source.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say, because China, I don't think you can tackle this without getting to the precursors of those materials that become fentanyl and other drugs without going after China, because that's where they are first put together and then distributed from that point. And what they were trying to do, and I think that our tariffs and all of the trade deals that the president has been making, particularly with Vietnam, have been very good, because what China was hoping to do was to force Vietnam to let them use their southern ports so that they could access our shores more easily. So I think he's kind of hit this in all those 17 ways plus one right. for good measure, as you put it. And so we'll have to see. Sheinbaum would be smart, though, to want to participate in something like this, because it's a blight on her country if our forces keep them there and then her people suffer.
Yeah, and with the cartels committed to using this period to establish independence from China, they want it all for themselves. They want to be able to create this from scratch on their own territory. We know that corruption is rife throughout the government there too. So they're battling a lot of problems, but my money's on President Trump. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern.
Sorry about that. I think it's like I had it off. But it looks like Cape Verde got hit pretty hard from the storm. And I think some people died. So let's see if I can bring this up so we can watch it together. See if I can bring it up. Let's put it on here. Let's go ahead and pause it here. Set it up. Set it up. Put it over here. Gonna see some news from Cape Verde. And then we're going to finish it off with Tyson de la Cruz. So let's get this started here. That's what I want. Okay, let's watch.
We're tracking some devastating flooding in Cabo Verde. It's an island community off the coast of northern Africa.
Yeah. So former WUSA 9 anchor Delia Gonzalez, you might remember, she is there right now. She shared these pictures and videos with us. This is a side-by-side look at the before and after.
Look at the water, it's dirty.
Incredible.
Yeah, Delia says the apartment building she's staying in, it flooded. You can see right there. She says, quote, our apartment was safe, but my brother and husband rushed to save neighbors' homes taking on water. We awoke to devastation. I will spend the rest of this vacation supporting the families and business owners who were impacted.
I heard that a couple of people died from it. I don't know how many, but I saw some reports that some people died from the flood. Let's go to Tyson de la Cruz and let's wrap it up.
President Trump has quietly signed a directive greenlighting U.S. military force outside of the United States. The target? Powerful cartels operating deep inside Latin America.
America, we just learned that President Trump has secretly signed a classified directive authorizing the U.S. military to use force against drug cartels designated as foreign terrorist organizations. We're talking about the Sinaloa cartel, MS-13, Venezuelans cartel de la Sol, and Tren de Aragua. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about Mexico. The authorization covers operations at sea and on foreign soil, which means cartels operating anywhere in Latin America are now in the crosshairs of American military power.
President Trump giving the green light to the U.S. military to strike drug cartels on foreign soil. News Nation did get the opportunity to directly ask the president about this directive to the Pentagon.
What is up, guys? Tyson de la Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This is the most aggressive move against cartels in American history, and it's exactly what we need to stop the fentanyl epidemic that's killing 100,000 Americans every single year. Let me break down what we know about this classified directive. According to the New York Times, Trump has quietly signed an order giving the Pentagon authority to use military force against cartels that have been designated as foreign terrorist organizations. This includes operations both at sea and on foreign soil.
News Nation pressing President Trump on reports that he secretly signed a directive ordering the Pentagon to use military force against drug cartels labeled as foreign terrorist organizations.
When News Nation directly asked Donald Trump about this directive, he was coy but didn't deny it.
Cartels where?
Central Latin America.
Well, Latin America's got a lot of cartels. They've got a lot of drugs flowing. So, we want to protect our country. We have to protect our country. We haven't been doing it for 4 years.
The targets include the Sinaloa cartel, Venezuelans cartel de la Sols, Tren de Aragua, and MS-13. These aren't just drug dealers. These are military-grade criminal organizations that have been waging war on American communities for decades. You know what's crazy? While we're talking about Trump finally taking aggressive action to protect Americans from foreign threats, there's another area where Americans need protection from people trying to take advantage of them: Medicare. If you're 65 or older, you know how many people try to push you towards plans that benefit them instead of actually protecting you. That is exactly why Chapter is different. Just like it's the aggressive help that you deserve. Now back to Trump's war on the cartel. This military authorization comes alongside some serious financial incentives. The Trump administration just doubled the bounty on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro to $50 million, with Attorney General Pam Bondi calling him one of the largest narcos traffickers in the world.
Maduro uses foreign terrorist organizations like TDA, Sinaloa, and Cartel of the Suns to bring deadly drugs and violence into our country. He is one of the largest narco traffickers in the world and a threat to our national security.
Think about this. We're treating the president of Venezuela like a terrorist leader with a $50 million bounty on his head. That's because he essentially is a terrorist leader running a narco state that's poisoning Americans with fentanyl. The DEA says they seized 30 tons of cocaine from Maduro's criminal network, with 7 tons tied directly to Maduro himself. The Justice Department has already confiscated over $770 million in assets linked to Maduro, including private jets and luxury cars.
DEA says 30 tons of cocaine have been seized from Maduro and his criminal network, 7 tons tied directly to Maduro himself. And the Justice Department says that is just part of this investigation.
Therefore, they doubled down his reward to $50 million under President Trump's leadership. Maduro will not escape justice. According to reports, military planners have already mapped out targets. This represents the most aggressive escalation in America's war on the cartels, opening doors to operations both at sea and on cartel home turf.
It's the most aggressive move yet in his war on the cartels. Times says that military planners are already mapping out targets.
We've already seen what this cooperation can look like. In May, U.S. and Mexico forces conducted a rare joint raid on 3 major drug labs in Sinaloa, seizing fentanyl and chemical precursors. But that was with Mexico's permission. This new authorization could allow unilateral action. The key difference is that Trump's directive allows for covert operation. A former Mexican Special Service member told News Nation that the U.S. could conduct covert military strikes without notifying Mexican authorities. Similarly, how they captured El Mayo Zambada, co-founder of the Sinaloa cartel, last year.
What he says is that the United States could conduct a covert military strike, meaning that the United States could strike cartels and not notify Mexican authorities.
Of course, Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum is having a complete meltdown over this. She doubled down yesterday, telling reporters she will never allow U.S. troops to enter Mexico. She said the United States is not going to come to Mexico with the military. We cooperate, but there's not going to be an invasion. That is ruled out. But here's the problem with Mexico's position. They've proven that they can't or won't control the cartels.
President Sheinbaum would, which you would be first to admit, that there's a lot of corruption within the Mexican government. The cartels have a lot of money to buy things. They also have a kind of a policy, which is either you work with us or they'll go after they'll not go after just the officials, they'll go after their families as well.
This is exactly why unilateral action might be necessary. When you can't trust the host government because they're compromised by the very criminals we're trying to eliminate, covert operations become the only option. The legal framework for this, in my opinion, is solid. By designating these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, Trump has given the military the same authorization he had against ISIS and Al-Qaeda. These aren't just criminals anymore. They're enemy combatants in a war against American communities. The precedent exists too. Here pointed out that we've used military force in this hemisphere before.
The U.S. has done things. This is our sphere of influence, so to speak. We have put military forces in Mexico and Nicaragua and Haiti, and we have had a military presence down there for some time.
The difference now is that we have the technology and intelligence capabilities to conduct precise strikes against cartel leadership and infrastructure without the massive ground invasions of the past. The Treasury Department has also sanctioned what they're calling Cartel dos los Soles, a criminal organization based in Venezuela with Maduro as the head. This directly links a foreign government to drug trafficking into the United States, which is essentially an act of war. America, this secret military authorization represents a fundamental shift in how we're fighting the war on drugs. For decades, we treated cartels like a law enforcement problem. Now we're treating them like the terrorist organizations they actually are. These cartels have killed more Americans than any foreign army through the fentanyl epidemic. They've destabilized entire regions of Latin America, corrupted governments, and turned our southern border into a war zone. It's time we respond with the appropriate force. The $50 million bounty on Maduro sends a clear message. If you're a foreign leader trafficking drugs into America, you're a legitimate military target. The secret authorization to use force against cartels means nowhere is safe for these criminal organizations. Mexico can protest all they want, but they've had decades to deal with the cartel problem, and they absolutely failed. When your government is so corrupt by criminal organizations that you can't enforce your own laws, don't be surprised when other countries step in to protect their citizens. This is exactly what we voted for, a president who's willing to use American military power to protect American lives instead of fighting endless wars in countries that don't matter to our national security. I'll keep you updated as this secret war against the cartels unfolds. And remember, this is what happens when you elect a president who puts America first
The U.S. is
instead
going
of
to do some
worrying about what
airstrikes in
foreign
Mexico.
governments think. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Wow. Thank you, Tyson. That was awesome. Yeah, they're going to airstrike. Just saying, are they going to airstrike Mexico? Will Mexico retaliate and attack the U.S.? The latter half, I say no. The precision attack, yes. I think they're going to go after the drug like cartels and makers where they are putting this medicines together, these drugs together, the fentanyl, because they get it dirt cheap from China, and China ships it over to them, and then they distribute it, and then they put it together at their facilities and stuff like that. I think the U.S. needs to go after the facilities and like pinpoint, target, and destroy. But you need a lot of intel before you could do that. You know what I mean? So that's what they've been doing for, I guess, this year, is getting a lot of intel of what's been going on. A lot of satellite, a lot of video, a lot of that takes a small army to monitor, what's going on over there. And yeah, it's just a different form of war, and this is it's been a declaration against the cartels. So it's like the U.S. is not gonna wait around. They're really gonna be like the bullies and push and push and push, and they're gonna show the world how it could be done. And we got to push the bad away. You know what they used to do back in the days? They used to make them go into the ocean and keep walking and keep swimming out in the ocean until you die. A lot of people died in the ocean that way. Way, way, way back in the day. But I got a little special for us tonight. You want to know the special? I got another little special sneaky surprise. There's a little sneaky surprise that I have for you guys. Well, something that I was anticipating. I wasn't really anticipating, but the time has come, and we got a second Tyson De La Cruz episode. So we're gonna play that now, and then I'm wrapping up the show because I'm tired. That's the truth. I'm really, really tired, and I really want to go to bed now. So let's watch this together. From Tyson.
The conviction represents the first in the federal case. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office of New Mexico, the trafficking network is led by Heriberto Salazar Amaya. The office says Alex Martinez served as a, quote, regional manager.
America, we just got our first major conviction in the largest fentanyl bust in DEA history. A federal jury in New Mexico just convicted Alex Anthony Martinez, a quote-unquote regional manager of a cartel network that had 3 million fentanyl pills ready to flood American streets. This wasn't some street-level dealer either. This was a middle management in a corporate-style drug operation run by the Sinaloa cartel. But here's the kicker. Martinez is facing life in prison, and this is just the first domino to fall in this case that could destroy the entire cartel network.
A federal jury convicting an Albuquerque man for his role in a multi-state fentanyl trafficking organization, resulting in the largest single pill seizure in DEA history.
What is up, guys? Tyson De La Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Now, I covered this massive bust when it first happened a few months ago, and I promised I'd keep you updated on this case as it moves through the court. Well, we just got our first major conviction, and this is a big one. Let me give you an update on where this case stands. Alex Anthony Martinez just became the first person convicted in what the DEA calls the largest single fentanyl seizure in American history. After a 6-day trial, it took jurors only 8 hours to find him, guess what? Guilty.
Conviction represents the first in the federal case. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office of New Mexico, the trafficking network is led by Heriberto Salazar Amaya.
Now, here's what makes this so significant. Martinez wasn't just some low-level, beneath-the-street drug dealer. According to prosecutors, he served as what they're calling, quote-unquote, a regional manager for his cartel operation, directing and supplying distributors in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Hobbs between July 2024 and April 2025. Think about this for a second. These cartels are operating like Fortune 500 companies, where regional managers, territories, and corporate hierarchies. Martinez was middle management in a business that was poisoning American communities.
Good afternoon. The DEA calls it the largest fentanyl bust they have ever made, and New Mexico played a major part. They seized more than 2 million pills in Albuquerque alone, and the feds say the drug ring responsible spanned 5 states.
For those of you who didn't watch the story, let me just remind you how massive this operation was. When I covered this story months ago, the numbers were absolutely staggering, and they're still going to blow your mind today.
In Albuquerque alone, authorities seized staggering quantities of illegal drugs and assets, including over 2.7 million fentanyl pills, 11.5 kilograms of concentrated fentanyl powder, 7 pounds of methamphetamine.
We're talking about 3 million fentanyl pills seized across 5 states: New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, and Oregon. That's enough to kill 3 million Americans. In Albuquerque alone, they found over 2.7 million pills plus 11 kilograms of concentrated fentanyl powder. But it wasn't just drugs. They also seized 49 firearms, including automatic rifles and ghost guns, plus $500,000 in cash. This was a militarized drug operation with some serious firepower.
Agents also recovered 49 firearms, including automatic rifles and ghost guns, along with more than $500,000 in cash.
And here's something that really gets me. They were lacing other drugs with fentanyl. They put this in Xanax, they put this in Adderall, they put this in Molly. So these people thought that they were buying one thing and then they were getting a potential death sentence instead.
They put this in Xanax. They put this in Adderall. They put this in Molly.
Now, the man prosecutors say was running this entire operation is Humberto Salas Amana. And get this, he was living in Salem, Oregon. This guy was allegedly the CEO of the drug trafficking network that spanned across 5 states. And he was just living in suburban Oregon like a regular citizen.
A man living in Salem and 15 others are now behind bars after the Justice Department announced the largest fentanyl bust in U.S. history. Attorney General Pam Bondi says roughly 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including 3 million fentanyl pills, were seized in New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah.
According to the DOJ, Salazar Armana is from Mexico and entered, get this, the country illegally. But here's what I love about Attorney General Pam Bondi's approach. She said they're not deporting him. She wants him to stay in American prison for as long as humanly possible.
But Attorney General Bondi says they won't deport him.
And I want them to stay in our prisons as long as possible. I've no desire to send them back to Mexico because they were coming across our border illegally.
This is exactly the right approach, especially if this hombre came from Mexico. Why should we send these cartel leaders back to Mexico where they can just cross the border again? Keep them locked up in American prisons where they belong, or send them to El Salvador. Here's where it gets really interesting. Martinez's conviction is just the first domino to fall. There are 15 other people arrested in this case alone, and several have already pled guilty. The investigation took months of coordinated work between federal, state, and local agencies. It took months and months of work investigating, leading up to smaller buyers, smaller cases, to get this massive amount of drugs and guns off our streets.
It took months and months of work, investigation, leading up to smaller buys, smaller cases, to get this massive amount of drugs and guns off our streets.
And they're not done. The feds made it clear this investigation is ongoing. They're systematically dismantling the entire network, one conviction at a time. What I love about this approach is they're treating these cartels like organized crime enterprises that they actually are. They're not just going after street dealers. They're targeting the entire corporate structure, from quote unquote regional managers like Martinez all the way up to the CEO. This case perfectly illustrates what I've been telling you guys for months. These cartels are waging chemical warfare against American communities. They're not just drug dealers, they're terrorist organizations using fentanyl to destroy American communities.
They are flooding our cities with a weapon of mass destruction, fentanyl. And when we catch you, like all of these individuals, if convicted, we will put you behind bars. There will be no negotiating, and we will lock you up for as long as humanly possible.
Attorney General Pam Bondi said it perfectly. They're flooding our cities with a weapon of mass destruction called fentanyl. And when we catch you, like all these individuals, if convicted, we will put you behind bars and you will be there. No negotiation. We will lock you up for as long as humanly possible. This is the kind of tough talk we need from our law enforcement leaders. No more catch and release BS. BS. No more plea deals that put these killers back on streets. Lock them up and throw away the key. America, this conviction sends a clear message to every cartel operating on American soil. We are coming for you, and we are going to destroy your entire organization from top to bottom. Martinez is facing life in prison, and he should get every day of it. This man was part of an operation that had 3 million fentanyl pills ready to kill 3 million Americans. That's not drug dealing. That is mass murder. The fact that it took the jury only 8 hours to convict him shows that Americans are fed up with these cartel operations poisoning our communities. We want real consequences for the people who are destroying American families. This is just the beginning, with 15 more defendants to go, including the alleged cartel leader, Salazar Armana. We're going to see more convictions and hopefully more life sentences. I'll keep you updated as more of these cartel members face justice. And remember, this is what happens when we have leadership that's serious about protecting American communities from foreign terrorist organizations. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you, thanks, man. Good recording. Cool. Tired. I'm glad to reach the end of the show. Good little stretch. It's always good to stretch. And I'm done. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know it was a little long today. It's almost 3 hours. Shit. No wonder I'm hurting. I was like, I had a lot to show. There's a lot going on today in our neck of the woods. So I'm sorry that it's long, but hey, it's good entertainment. Check it out. For those who rewatch, thank you for rewatching. I appreciate it. And I try to make them short, but today seems like time went to fly. And while you're having fun, time does fly. I'm getting off because I know I'm tired. So I know it's time for me to get off. But thank you, everyone. The new subscribers, thank you. We're climbing up. We're at 484, trying to reach 500. Maybe by the end of the month, we can see if we get to 500. It's 16 away, 16 subscribers away to 500. So let's see if we can reach 500. But I keep doing what I'm doing, and we're gonna do good. So have a good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're at. I'll catch y'all on the flip side, and we'll do this again tomorrow. I'm not sure what time tomorrow, but we'll do something and see what happens, because every day is a new day. So every day is always something, and there's always news. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, that storm, we'll keep progress of it. We'll document it, and we'll see where it goes. It'd be funny if it came over here, right? It was like, Rick, stop putting it into the atmosphere. I know, but it's just, I used to love hurricanes, like when I was in Florida, and the fear of the hurricane and people going wild buying supplies, and you go into the grocery store and there's nothing on the shelves. I remember those, like, doing that and try to get supplies and there's nothing, and you're left with fucking like just the weirdest shit on the shelves. That's one thing. I was always, as an adult, I was always ready. I always had supplies. I always had, batteries and flashlights and survivor, that I can survive a week. I had enough food, I had enough, it's just, when you're an adult, you take more responsibility, right? But, going through hurricanes, you learn a lot. And it'll be funny if Aaron comes up here and hits Connecticut. It'll be weird if it hits us like a Cat 3. If it comes to Connecticut as a Cat 3, Cat 4, that would be so devastating for Connecticut. That would be very devastating for Connecticut. I'm definitely going to be like, please donate to my channel. Please donate. PayPal. I have the information in my channel. Like, donate to my channel, because a category 3 coming to, or even a 2, even a 1 coming over here is still crazy. But a 3 and up coming to Connecticut, hitting Long Island first, and then coming to straight to Connecticut, that'll be wild. That'll be very, very wild. I hope my apartment can survive that type of hurricane. I don't know, because I do have skylights. So, and the wind is gonna be that strong, it's gonna funnel through here. So those skylights might get damaged. So I'm thinking of ways. I'm like thinking one step ahead. Because that storm, it's not gonna be here for like another 10 days, maybe more. Right now we're the 11th. So you would say what? Let's say 10 days from now will be the 21st. I don't know. We'll see. We got a long way to go. And if it comes this way, I'll report on it. And I'll show you the flooding, and I'll show you the crazy waterfalls, the dangerous water coming down from the falls. Like, yeah, I could do something like that. Like the aftermath of a storm, and the water, like the amount of water that it releases. Oh man, it's gonna cause a lot of trouble, but we'll see. I'm tired. You guys have a good night, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.